ICENET. Dynasties live here.
Cup final.
CBC Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, brewers of Molson Canadian, the great Canadian breakaway. Canadian General Electric, progress for people since 1882. Canadian tire dealers with 326 stores to serve you across Canada. And by the Ford Motor Company of Canada, on behalf of your Ford and Mercury dealers from coast to coast. The second game of the Stanley Cup Final at the Nassau Coliseum was the same as the first in terms of the 6-3 score, but in no other way was it similar. Minnesota played a much better game, but still the Islanders won. And the winning goal came in the third period on an Islander power play. Dennis Potvin, who had scored earlier, took a pass from Butch Goring. And Potvin, with 2 goals, 2 assists on the night, led the Islanders to their 2-0 lead coming to Minnesota for the Stanley Cup Final, the first time ever in the history of the North Stars that they have hosted the NHL Championship. And the Met Center in Bloomington has been busy since the North Stars arrived home. Assistant coach Murray Oliver putting the Stars through their paces, practicing for a game that will mean everything to this team. And the reporters have filled the dressing room, asking the important questions of the North Stars, such as right-winger Al McAdam. What must be done? Can they beat the Islanders, the defending champions? Do they think they can beat the Islanders? Steve Payne, another, to give an answer. And the fans here in Minnesota think they can have a say as well. This is the hottest ticket in the history of the North Stars franchise. And these fans will be loud. The Stanley Cup Final comes to Minnesota. This is Game 3. The North Stars desperate for a win with the Islanders up 2-0. Good evening and welcome, everyone. I'm Dave Hodge. This game is being seen on Hockey Night in Canada on the USA Network, and for the first time ever, Hockey Night in Canada broadcasts live to Mexico. So this is a true North American audience for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. As we have said, the North Stars must win. Not even the staunchest supporters of the Stars say there's a chance for the Stanley Cup if Minnesota does not win tonight. Coming home, what'll it mean? We asked Mickey Redmond this afternoon at the Minnesota bench what he thought.
As you can see, it's pretty quiet here the afternoon of a playoff game at the Met Center. Been a few moments here at the Minnesota bench. The center of attention will be on the Minnesota players and Glenn Sonmore. So far this year, Sonmore's played down the fact that home ice advantage has been important. But dropping 2 games on Long Island, it's very, very important for the North Stars to win here at home. So, Dave, in a few moments, we'll see if they can take advantage of their own backyard and the 16,000 screaming fans behind them.
Okay, Mickey, we know what the North Stars have. They have home ice. They need more, I think. What else?
Well, certainly they have to score some goals on the power play, Dave. They've played tight as a fiddle string since the Islanders scored 2 goals against them in Game 1, while the Islanders themselves were shorthanded. That's half the job. The other half is, hey, they've got to stop that tremendous Islander power play. That's a pretty tall order.
I think it might be fair to say the North Stars have to bring up the level of their play in almost every area, and that may be a tough assignment.
Well, I think they can do it. They've got the crowd behind them at home. I talked to a lot of the players today, and they're looking forward to this game more than they looked forward to any other game in their entire career. Hey, there could be an upset in the making tonight.
Okay, the Islanders are still on top, 2-0, but Minnesota says nothing happens until we lose at home. And if we can win 2 here, we go back to the island all even. That's what the North Stars are hoping. Stay tuned. And shortly, you'll meet 2 other members of our broadcast crew, Bob Cole and Gary Dornhofer, as our Stanley Cup coverage continues in just a moment.
You're looking at a live camera shot of the Metropolitan Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, home of the Minnesota North Stars. They've had a pretty good year. Matter of fact, they've had a fantastically good year. But listen, here's a game they must win or it could be curtains and another Stanley Cup for the New York Islanders. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Cole, and with me is Gary Dornhofer, a member of 2 Stanley Cup winning teams with the Philadelphia Flyers, 1974 and 75. This place is going wild, Gary. This is a must game for Minnesota. Glenn Sonmore, if it is an advantage, has that advantage of making the last player change.
Yes, he does have that advantage, Bob, but I think what's more important is that he's going to use 4 lines. He has inserted into the lineup Mike Polich, playing his first game in this year's playoffs, and also Young Hands, who is a specialty at penalty-killing role.
And they got to find a way to stop that power play.
Well, they're going to have to work on that, but it's important that the speed and the aggressive forechecking, they do a number on the Islanders in that respect.
15,784 going wild here at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota.
Defenseman number 2, Kurt Giles. Defenseman number 3, Fred Barrett. Defense number 4, Craig Hartsburg. Center number 7, Neil Broughton. Wing number 8, Kent Eric Anderson. Defense number 10, Cordy Roberts. Wing number 11, Tom McCarthy. Wing number 14, Brad Palmer. Center number 15, Bobby Smith. Center number 16, Mike Polich. Center number 17, Tim Young. Wing number 20, Dino Ciccarelli. Defenseman number 23, Craig Smith. Wing number 25, Al McAdam. Wing number 26, Steve Payne. Wing number 28, Steve Kristoff. Wing number 29, Tom Younghans. Goalie number 27, Gilles Melache.
Check.
Goalie number 33, Don Beaupre. Coach of the North Stars is Glenn Sonmore. Officials for this game, the linesmen are Ron Finn and John D'Amico. Your referee is Bruce Hood. Players by the North Stars, and The Islanders refused to come out on the ice until after the North Stars were introduced. It's important that the crowd get this team going. They are doing their part. Will the North Stars be able to do theirs?
Well, you've heard it said before, Gary, so many times that it's great playing in front of your home fans, and the word is out all over the National Hockey League that this has got to be the noisiest building in the entire league. So, the Stars need help. If it's crowd noise, they got it right here in Bloomington tonight, believe me, folks. We are now going to have the Canadian and American anthems as sung by Jim Bowers. Jim Bowers leading the crowd, the Canadian and American national anthems. Here are your officials tonight. Bruce Hood, senior official in the league, 18 years behind him. John D'Amico from Rexdale, Ontario. Ron Finn, 12 years in the league, from Georgetown, Ontario. The goaltenders tonight. Billy Smith, goals against average 2.36. He's won 12 and lost 2. And he's tough to beat. Down at the other end is Joe Meloche. He's 8-4 in the playoffs. You see his goals against average 3.32 in the starting lineups. Barrett and Smith on the defense for Minnesota. Polish, Young Hands, and Anderson up front. Tonelli, Merrick, and Nystrom. For New York, Morrow and Potvin on the defense. And that's Potvin. He tried to clear it. It went off his stick and over the glass at the far side into the crowd. I'll tell you, it's big pressure tonight, Mickey, and the Stars know what they have to do. Can they do it?
Well, I think they're certainly capable of doing it, Bob. They really want to keep this the fan advantage here with them. I think it's just ultra important that they get off to a good start and possibly get the first goal of the hockey game.
An attempted shot went off his stick into the corner is Morrow. Now the Stars, a little bit of pressure, but they can't hang on to it. It comes back to center ice. Somebody said today, the North Stars, if they win this game, it'll be because they score first. Well, let's see the first shot on goal. That's stopped by Billy Smith. Stars in forechecking, mixing it up back of the net, and they hang on to it. I guess, Gary, that's the answer. Get it in there and chase it.
Well, that's the good start that the North Stars are looking for. Glenn Sommer said we're not really going to play a physical game, but by the looks of that first shift, I would have to disagree with him.
They certainly threw their weight around more than they did in Long Island, but it's a tremendous advantage being here. This has been a good building for them. They've only lost one game in the playoffs, and this is the way they're going to have to play this hockey game, put pressure on the Islanders.
Bob, I think if there's a line matchup, it would be Polic, Anderson, and Younghans against Trotier's line. Trying to shut down Trottier, Bossy. Those are the two big shooters for the Islanders.
Polic, wearing number 16, comes to center ice. Number 8 is Anderson to his right. Younghans, 29, to his left. Face-off of the New York zone to the right of Billy Smith. Game just underway. If you've just tuned in, there's no score. There's a shot by Smith. Grabbed by Billy Smith. Clever goaltender. He's up, he's down. He's got a great glove hand, and you saw it right there. Shortstop style, scooped it up.
Well, Billy Smith thought he actually had broken his arm the last game when he had his hand squeezed or his arm squeezed against the goalpost, but it was just a hyperextension and right on the funny bone. But you'll see the quickness of a Billy Smith just throwing that trapper out and snaring it for the face-off.
Face-off again in the New York zone. Into the corner it goes. Lorimer trying to clear it up along the boards on the right side. Trottier comes to center, takes his time, and shoots it into the Minnesota zone for the first time in this game. They played just 40 seconds, mind you. Bumping on the boards in the North Stars zone. Barrett missed a chance to clear it. Now Greg Smith wheeling it out, decides to stop. Trottier tried to go in forechecking. There's Big Gillies. He couldn't stop him. They bump at the blue line. Anderson and Lane. And I think they mean business, folks, tonight. Good to have you people from across Canada with us tonight on the USA Network. And, of course, buenas noches to you in Mexico. This is the third game of the Stanley Cup final. The New York Islanders are up 2-0. A win tonight. Man, are they in the driver's seat or what? From Bloomington, Minnesota, this is Stanley Cup 81. Merrick, Tonelli, and Nystrom. For New York, that's Potvin. He'll dance back to his own line. Tried to throw a pass, missed a chance. Tim Young gets a break. Took the shot from a difficult angle and went back to the net. It's cleared back to the blue line. Another drive, went off the leg as Hartsburg let it go. Payne tried to center it. In on the boards, they fight for it. Minnesota looking good in the early going of this game. Potvin looking a bit disturbed, couldn't clear it. Minnesota putting the pressure on. In front is Payne. He scooped at it and missed it. Back for Tonelli for New York. He's stopped at the line by Giles. Nystrom watching him. That's Nystrom losing it at the far side. And now McAdam comes this way. Lost the line. He didn't get the pass as Young carried it in. Again, Hartsburg for Minnesota. Coming up to the 2-minute mark of this first period. There's no score. They're passing the puck well now, this team. That's Smith breaking in back of the net. Bumped along the boards back there. And New York moving it down on the right side. That's Nystrom stopping. Nystrom dropped it back in his own zone to Merrick. Merrick coming out, penalty coming up. And it'll be against New York. Nystrom getting an interference call. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Bloomington, Minnesota.
Tires.
Bob Nystrom, interference here at 2:10 of the first period.
Well, Bob, you remember in Game 2, 8 power play chances for the North Stars. They were only able to capitalize on one opportunity, and this is an area that they really have to improve on.
And a couple of 5-on-3 situations, too, in Game 2, Gary, that they didn't capitalize on, but Sonmore felt super important that they can capitalize on the Islander penalties.
Well, let's see how Minnesota fares with a man advantage. That's Cicerelli, number 20, lost it in front of the net. That's Goring, always dangerous. A penalty killer along with Carroll. He's 25 and has it now back to his own line is Lorimer with Lane to Lorimer. New York killing the first few seconds very effectively. Balash in back of the net to stop. He hasn't had to make a stop yet. Shots on goal by New York. Minnesota, the man advantage. They get up across the line. That's Brott trying to clear it from the boards. It's stopped by Carroll. He boots it out to center ice, and Tim Young takes over for Minnesota. A minute, 10 seconds left of the penalty. No score in this first period. Here's Bobby Smith. He's great at home, they say, and look at him go. He's up over the line. Smith played it in. Gets it passed into him. Gets it back. Hartsburg! That's stopped by Billy Smith. A good save, but a good effort by Minnesota. They're in again. Kristoff. In back of the net is Kristoff. Back to the blue line. Hartsburg to Kristoff. Look out. Score! Could see that one come. Beautiful play by Minnesota. 1-0. Minnesota North Stars power play goal.
Well, good setup here by the North Stars, just throwing that puck around. I like the way Kristoff comes from the boards to the center of the ice and unloads it. He didn't wind up with a big slap shot. It was a snap shot and just fired it by Billy Smith.
I don't think Billy Smith saw the shot. It caromed off the far goal post like Potvin goal in Game 2. There you see it coming right there off the post and in behind Smith. This is what the North Stars needed, the big first goal, and also they found a way to score on that man advantage situation.
Well, it's good forechecking in there, getting right on top of the Islanders, and Kristoff scores his 7th of the playoffs.
3:25, the time of the goal. 1-0 Minnesota. And icing now called against the New York Islanders. That goal coming on a power play while Nystrom was off serving 2 minutes for interference.
Well, Glenn Sonmor had felt that if the Islanders continue to take penalties like they did in Game 2, they will improve. One reason is Tim Young back on the blue line. He felt the guy has the smarts to set up the plays, but more important, he can get the puck out of his own zone.
Well, there's no question with that experience out there. As you mentioned to Bob and I this morning, Gary, that he really felt Young would make the big difference back there because, especially on those 5-on-3s that they had the other night, if they got a chance like that again, he would not be shooting the puck from 50, 60 feet out, but taking a look, looking for that open man and letting a guy move into the 20, 30-foot area to get a good scoring chance.
Talking to the officials this morning, that's John D'Amico officiating at this face-off. They're very alert in there, those big circles. They will take no nonsense in this series. They'll throw the players out if they don't line up properly. Right for the draw. You see how important these face-offs are. Billy Smith had to watch it carefully. McEwen's pass in on the wing. Islanders can't move it in. On the first attempt, Bourne was bumped by Smith. Now McEwen again. Lobbed it up to center ice. That's Goring losing it. I'll tell you, Minnesota checking very well. Called now on the offside, and I think maybe we're getting another penalty. This time, Minnesota. And it's Young hands. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Bloomington, Minnesota. Play just underway. Cleared it back to the Minnesota net. Here's Bossy. Bossy centered it all. Gillies slammed on it. He had the open side. And Minnesota clearing it down the ice. A minute 40 left in that penalty. To Young hands of the Minnesota North Stars. It's 1-0 Minnesota. Power play now, which is usually devastating. The New York Islanders onside, barely. Minnesota clearing it to center. Bossy tucked it up to the line. And it's Giles shooting it back in.
Well, when you're working at a 40.6% efficiency, the highest total ever recorded in the National League for power play, you know they've got dynamite out there.
There's Gillies. That pass just a little too far for Gillies. Icing is called against New York.
There's Tom Youngins, only playing his 3rd playoff game. Now, his specialty certainly is as a checker and also a penalty killer, so I'm sure that he and Polic will both see a lot of action in this area.
That is Sonmor's plan, Gary, to have both those fellas out when they are shorthanded as much as he can get them out there. And he felt, talking to him this morning, that they would certainly be a big boost to the hockey club.
Polic and Palmer, penalty killers up front for Minnesota. Trotier's number 19. He's got 10 goals, 15 assists in this playoff so far. points. Well, 103 on the season. So Trottier, a big gun for the New York Islanders. That's McEwen shooting it in. Balash out of the net to try to set it up for Palmer. He's bumped by Clark Gillies. Here come the Islanders. They pour it over the line. Potvin gets set, shoots. That was blocked in front of the net. A nice play at the Minnesota defense by Barron. Bossy set it up, shot, knocked away by Balash. And he hangs on to it. A face-off coming up in the Minnesota zone. 39 seconds left in the North Stars penalty.
Well, a good save by Losh because Potvin was really moving over from his boards into the slot area, almost to the far circle. And again, the North Stars not able to pick Potvin off. They're facing the puck carrier instead of going around sideways so they can keep an eye on Potvin. And if he continues to get in the clear like that, he can be very dangerous.
Well, that's the spot he scored the winning goal in Game 2, and he likes to roam around and come in from that point area whenever he can and sneak in behind the four-man box and get open for a pass.
Goring back to Potvin, shooting. That's stopped by Balash. Minnesota killing this penalty very well. 30 seconds left of the penalty now. That was brought and upended. Play goes right on. And it's Goring, number 91 for New York, coming out. Goring up to center. Goring in over the line. Still has it, trying to go in. He was spun around as he tried to beat the defenseman in front of the net. Hartsburg nearly lost it to Goring. He did. Now Bourne gets set. Lets it go. That missed on the short side, but not by much. And again, comes to Bourne. Nice save by Balash. Another pass in front of the net to Goring. The penalty is over now. And Goring bumped over there. Cleared into the corner. Hartsburg has it. Hartsburg, the rushing defenseman for Minnesota. At center, played it in beautifully. It goes into young hands from the corner. He centered it. Here's a chance. Oh! Billy Smith looking at that one right down the pipe. 1-0 Minnesota in this first period. They're nearing the 7-minute mark. What excitement here in the Met Center. Bloomington, Minnesota. It's cleared down the ice by the North Stars. There will be no icing. New York back to pick it up, and they're having trouble. Let me tell you, another penalty coming up against Minnesota. Payne gets the gate with a score. Minnesota 1, New York nothing. This is Stanley Cup 81. There is Steve Payne holding at 6:37.
Well, that's an area that you don't want to take a penalty in the offensive zone. You see Payne making contact and hauling Lorimer down. Not the way that Islander power play works. They had about 3 or 4 good chances in the last opportunity.
New York again with the man advantage. That's Lane back with the depth. The Islanders are back lining up now. They nearly lost it right in front. Again, Merrick comes back. Islanders look completely disorganized against Minnesota. And they're up for this one. The North Stars, you can tell, they're leading 1-0. Balash back to the net himself, trying to help out. Barrett in there holding it with a skate. Little pushing and shoving. Nystrom was in there for New York. Tonelli, they were doing some pushing and shoving. Linesman, referee, they're in there quickly. The only scoring play so far in a power play, Steve Kristoff from Hartsburg and Cicerelli at 3:25. It's 1-0 Minnesota.
Well, Young Hands right in the middle of it, Gary. You talked about the advantage with Young Hands coming into the lineup and Polish. You look at Sonmore looking at the action. Young Hands was pushing with Nystrom behind the net and Tonelli, and they're both going to go off, it looks like. At least Nystrom's already in the box.
It looks like Nystrom is the only guy going in the penalty box, and that's usually what happens. You saw the collision behind with Malash, and then watch. Young Hands is also going up, but you see the battle in the corner there with Young Hands, and Nystrom comes in late, and then there's a few elbows and gloves, whatever, thrown around, but I know the North Stars will not be pushed around in their own building, and they've showed that.
You've been in there before, and you know as well as I do that when you haven't played as much, whether it be by coincidence or by injury, whatever, when you get out there, you really got it. You get going, you get fired up, and it looks like Young'un so far in the first few shifts he's had is really fired up.
And also Polish, when he's been out there, he's done some tremendous forechecking.
That's Gary Dornhofer. former star with the Philadelphia Flyers and Mickey Redmond. Former star with the Montreal Canadiens and Detroit Red Wings. And I'm Bob Cole. We're at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. 1-0 North Stars. 12:48 left in this first period. Bossy couldn't get a stick on it. That's Giles against Bossy. Bossy left it there. And I think we're getting another penalty. Bruce Hood, the referee, is clamping down early, and here's a hooking call. And it's Trottier, I think, will be going. There he is, number 19, Brian Trottier.
It is Trottier, Bob, and just the thing that Sonmore was talking about the other night, the little hooks to the holes on Nystrom's goal. We talked about Brad Maxwell being pulled down and was nothing being called on it. It's sort of that in-between area, and that was a good example of it there, but Bruce Hood took the time to call that penalty where Trottier had hooked and interfered with one of the Minnesota players as he was trying to get after the loose puck. Exactly what Sonmore was talking about, trying to get his guys to do if they were going to get away with it.
Well, there's Nystrom and Trottier talking things over again, but let's look right from the draw and the hook. You could almost call that face-off interference.
Interference, right, Gary.
But remember, Maxwell, he got hurt in that fight that he had with Bobby Bourne. He is out for this game with shoulder problems, so the North Stars are going with 5 defensemen, and that's going to be a tough load, especially if the Islanders get their forechecking game going.
You know, it's tough also, Gary, because if there happens to be an outbreak of fights and the North Star defensemen are involved, it's really going to make it interesting. I'm sure that Sonmore has told them not to give any ground, but be careful not to get themselves involved unnecessarily and put them at a disadvantage down to 2 or 3 or 4 defensemen.
But he was still, Sonmore, impressed with his team. A young hockey club, but he said those guys in practice yesterday are flying out there crisp in their passes, and we will be ready.
Nystrom and Younghans went off at 7:05, and now Trottier of New York at 7:19. That's Bobby Smith tipping it in for Minnesota. Coming back is Langevin. Back of the net, he hooked it in the corner. That's McEwen starting out. Got away from McCarthy to center ice. The pass goes in off the boards for Ford. Balash nearly started out, then backed up rather quickly. In the net for Minnesota. Kick back to the line of McEwen. Along the boards, it comes to Bourne. Bourne was just inside the blue line. Now it's McCarthy. Down for Minnesota. Put on the brakes inside the line. Sliding a pass. There's Barrett's shot. And that's stopped by Billy Smith. Bourne picking it up. He's number 14 for New York. Played it over to McEwen coming out. Down on the right side, and he is stopped by Palmer. Puck rolls inside the Minnesota line, and back come the Stars. They're leading 1-0. Down to center, it's backhanded in by Robertson. He was belted by Langevin as he made that play. Out Keller for New York Islanders. Pass in his own zone. This is McEwen. Back to Keller. Hitting center. Keller trying to find an opening. Decides to shoot it in. Again, Barron sliding it along the boards to the blue line. Up to center. Coming in is Brock. Brock gets it. Made in. Oh! They missed the open side. Brock made that play across the line. That went in beautifully to Payne, but he couldn't pull the trigger.
Oh, what a play by Broughton as he just warded off an Islander check and then set up that 2-on-1 break. Look at the balance of Broughton here. He just out-muscles Keller for the puck. And now it's a 2-on-1 break. But Payne coming down that left side just slides the puck over, and you wonder how can you miss on a play like that.
He'll be looking at that one in his sleep tonight, but that puck bounces a little bit around there, any little bit, and it looked like it flew right off the top of the stick and right up over top of the net. But the North Stars putting on some good pressure. With any luck, Gary, they could have had 2 or 3 goals already in this hockey game.
Does this game remind you of games 1 and 2 in the Island, where it was the Islanders doing all the hitting, doing all the skating? Tonight it's just the opposite. That green machine.
You're right on.
Play.
They've come out to play is right, Gary, and they're bringing it right to New York. Here's a chance again in the corner. Bobby Smith, he'll try to set it up, gets it back to the line. Hartsburg shot didn't get through. That'll be Morrill. Getting into the line, but not out. Now it's barely across the blue line. Bobby Smith bumped near the line as he played it in back of the net. That was Potvin who threw the check. And the Islanders clearing it down the ice. That's Balash stopping it, Goring in, looking for it, but he didn't get it. Now Young. He had it poked away by Carroll. Goring waits for the pass over in front of the net. It doesn't arrive. It's in back of the goal. Once again, Tim Young left it, lost it. Carroll for New York. Carroll was bumped. Staying with it, though. Now he falls. Lobbed the pass to the other side. Haynes trying to move it out for Minnesota. He's not flying. Hartsburg is bumped by Trottier of New York. They'll likely get a whistle now as they pile in all the boards over there to the left of Gilles Meloche. It's 1-0. Minnesota with 10:15 remaining in this first period.
Well, who would expect a guy like Trottier to get things going from the Islanders? You'd figure a Nystrom or a Gillies, big tough guys that throw out the weight. But here it is, number 19, Brian Trottier, 2 good hits.
Well, he's a 195-pounder, Gary. He's not a little guy in weight. He's not very tall at 5'9", but boy, he knows how to throw his weight around too. You rarely see Trottier on his rear end in a hockey game. He just seems to have the right balance, and he knows what he's doing when he goes in the corner. There's a look at what you might call a diehard Minnesota fan.
New York getting a shot from the draw. It's blocked at the defense. Bossy chasing it in the corner. Bossy has it now. Played it into Gillies to Trottier. He was not here. Gillies. He couldn't get a backhander away. Now Palmer trying to move it out. Gillies staying with it. Forechecking for New York, and he has it. That's Gillies backhanding it in front of the net, and Broughton is there for Minnesota. They get it up to center. Kristoff can't hang on to it, though. Lane's pass to Clark Gillies. Turning around with Bossy. Up over the line is Trottier, and he is offside. No question, Gary. He's got big Gillies out on that line with Trottier and Bossy, and that, of course, is more hitting in the offensive zone.
Well, that's the one change that Coach Al Arbor has made, taking Keller off of that line and put big Clark Gillies with Bossy and Trottier. And, of course, they played together for a number of years as a unit.
9:41 remaining in the first period. 1-0. Minnesota. The goal by Kristoff while Nystrom was off. Hartsburg and Cicerelli got assists. It came at 3:25. Now then, Langevin at his own blue line. Forced back is McEwen. That's Young hands in watching him at the line. Smith's shot is blocked at the defense. New Yorkers break out 3 abreast, led by Sutter up the line. On for his first turn. That didn't work too well. And Barrett pushed it back to the New York blue line. Now Bourne got away from one check, then lost it. It comes to center. Here's Anderson trying to get away. Cannot. The penalty coming up. Minnesota carrying on. Greg Smith going in. Dropped it back in front. That's Polish spinning around into the corner for Anderson. The Minnesota net is empty. It comes back through the defense. Down the ice it goes. And the whistle will not go on that delayed penalty until New York gains possession. This might be it. Carroll goes over. He missed it. Minnesota has 6 attackers on now. Up to center is Anderson. Beautiful move. That's Anderson. He stopped. The whistle will go now as it's picked up by Billy Carroll. And a penalty coming up against New York. Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment. Langevin has gone for boarding.
Well, you'll watch right against the boards where Langevin will come in. That's not the play that just take him right into the boards. That second hit there against Anderson. So this will be the second power play opportunity by the North Stars. They capitalized on their first one.
That's when Nystrom was off and Kristoff got the goal, the only goal of the game so far. From Hartsburg and Cicerelli, and now they have another man advantage with 8:34 left in this opening period. 1-0 Minnesota. Another power play. And again, they're out of position on that face-off attempt, and it's stopped.
Bob, you notice that the Islanders always have 2 centermen out there. In case the first guy gets thrown out, then the second man can always go in there and try and take the draw. Trottier got thrown out. All of a sudden, Goring goes in there to take the face-off.
Big area into the right. The Billy Smith, they'll drop it in, hopefully. McAdam comes in now, 25 for Minnesota against Goring, 91 for New York. And McAdam got the draw. Can he make a play there? Fell on it, and it's cleared to the line of Trottier. He took a long shot. Meloche covered up on that easily. Young going back.
left it in the corner. Bobby Smith trying to help him. That's Tim Young, number 17. Played it to Smith, dropping it to Young. Here they come. The Minnesota North Stars have an advantage. Up across center is Hartsburg going in. Over the line, gets set in the slot, shooting. He waited a second too long, and the shot was blocked, deflected away. Now Young will have an opportunity. There it goes. That's deflected just wide. Keller on the far side, lobbing one down the ice. And now just a minute and 15 left in the penalty. 1-0 Minnesota. Here they come again. This is Tim Young. His pass to center is blocked. At the line, Keller couldn't move it out. And they call it on the offside.
Almost had a disastrous situation when that delayed penalty was being called. You saw the puck slide all the way down the ice. Malash had already left the net, gone to the bench for the extra attacker. And Gary, I'm sure you've seen it in your career. That darn thing goes in the open net. Usually you're on the ice for it.
There's nothing you can do. I saw Reggie Fleming do that. It was only an exhibition game when he played in Philadelphia. Bounced it off the boards right into our own net during a delayed penalty. So it can happen.
Now Roberts for Minnesota, shooting it in. Hobbling back is Morrow, back of the net. He had to hurry, and his pass is stopped at the blue line. Brock played it back. Giles flipped it off to Kristoff. Giles hit the shot beautifully. There it goes. Smith is down. And it's knocked into the corner. Morrow trying to knock it down the ice. This time he does.
Well, you have to be impressed with that North Stars power play. The quick passes. They're getting the Islanders out of position and getting the shots away.
34 seconds left on that power play now. And they come to center. Kristoff coming in. Sliding it in for Cicerelli, number 20. Back near the line. Carroll couldn't move it out. Pass comes all the way back, and there's Goring. He couldn't move it out. Minnesota staying with it. Finally knocked away by Billy Carroll. 15 seconds left in the penalty. The Stars hustle back onside. That's Barrett shooting it in. It hit Potvin, bounced back across the line at center. Now 5 seconds left in the penalty. That'll do it. They get to center one more time, maybe. It's tossed in off to one side. A high stick. Tonelli made contact, and it's called. Live from Bloomington, Minnesota, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Play just underway. Minnesota coming out again. Down on the far side, Young hands up over the line. It'll be broken up by Tonelli. And again, it's called.
Well, Bob Cole, I know you're happy to be here in Bloomington, Minnesota, but I know there's another place you'd love to have been today.
Oh, yes. A very important day for my eldest daughter, Christian, who was confirmed today back in Thompson, Newfoundland. Yes, I would like to be there. I'd like to be here, too, mind you. Most daddies have trouble like that. Important occasions, they have to travel. But don't worry. Daddies always think of their little girls.
Very well said.
Pass up across center. Minnesota coming back. McCann's brought it in. Flipped in front of the net.
What a second effort by Steve Payne. Was able to corral that pass from his skates onto a stick past Billy Smith.
Well, Gary, it looked like he lost sight of the puck when he took the pass, the back pass. It came over. He got it on his stick. He was being checked. You'll see right here, it pops up in the air, and he sort of looks for it.
Got it
just
back
took a
again.
swipe at it.
You know, Nystrom was all over him, doing a pretty good checking job. And
There's the back pass right there. Over to Payne. You see the puck go up in the air. He kind of takes a swipe at it, and bango, it's there. 2-0, Minnesota.
you know, you couldn't do any better checking job than Nystrom against Steve Payne, but that stick got loose just enough to bat it by the glove side of Billy Smith, and suddenly the North Stars ahead 2-0.
It's 2-0 Minnesota. We'll get the scoring play for you in just a moment. Puck goes flying over the glass into the crowd down there.
Number 26, Steve Payne.
Steve Payne got the goal. There he is.
And number 25, Al McAdam. Number 1409.
Young and McAdam assisting on that goal by Steve Payne at 14:09, 2-0.
Well, that is goal number 15 for Payne. That ties him with Mike Bossy for the lead in the playoffs. 15 goals. By golly, that's a lot of goals. but a good play there by Steve Payne to get a hold of that after he was really closely checked.
What is it, fellas, about this home ice? I've never seen it turn around so quickly, at least in the first period of the game.
Well, you get that momentum, Bob. You're in front of your home fans there, as you can see here easily. This outfit here is fired up tonight, and I mean, if you don't get a lift from that, you never will. And these North Stars, you can see they've got an awful lot of momentum, much more than they had on the island. And of course, the Islanders may be sitting back a little bit too, hoping that they don't get carried away with this Minnesota crowd.
I can't believe, Mickey and Gary, this Minnesota team is the same one we watched back in Long Island. But in fact, they are, but playing that much better. It's 2-0 as Bossy tries to do something about it. Scores! Wow, Bossy just inside the blue line. Let her go. I'm not sure if Malash figured he'd shoot from there, and he appeared not to be quite ready.
Well, it doesn't take the Islanders very long to come back, and that's always been their success the last couple of years. They don't panic. They take advantage of the breaks, and there he lets the shot go. I think Malash probably just fanned on that one because it looked like he was out, but let's have a look at it from another angle.
Certainly did. Watch the trapper. He goes to get it right there, and he just missed it. It caught the bottom of the trapper and fell down into the far side. Unfortunate goal for Joe Malash to give up.
So it didn't take long for Bossy to again regain the scoring lead with his 16th marker of the playoffs.
That's his 30th point. Wow, what a playoff. They're in again, these New York Islanders. I'll tell you, the Stars opening up a 2-0 lead. Now find the Islanders right back into it with that goal by Bossy. They have to be careful.
Well, last year, Brian Trottier set a scoring mark of 29 points, and Mike Bossy has just broken that with his 30th.
This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Bloomington, Minnesota. And just as we come back, play just underway, and Nystrom receives 2 minutes for interference. There he is.
That's his second penalty of the game, and that'll give the North Stars a power play.
Second interference, really.
May I be corrected? That's Nystrom's third penalty of the period. 2 interference, 1 roughing.
I know that's what you meant, Gary. Interference call, and the first time he went off, a goal scored by Christoph. 15-20, the time of the penalty to Nystrom. It's 2-1 Minnesota.
Well,
they love another one now.
The Islanders are getting a good workout in this shorthanded situation with Goring and Carroll. They're going to be awfully tired after this first period.
There's Bobby Smith with a face-off controlled. Young played it over to Hartsburg. Shooting it in back of the net for McAdam in the corner. Trying to get away from Carroll. He cannot. Carroll scooped it to center ice. Goring trying to steal it. No luck. Minnesota on a power play. Payne's pass to center to Hartsburg. He'll shoot it in. And that's Potvin, number 5 for New York. Stopped by Payne. Payne keeping it in. Through right in front. Oh! What a chance for McAdam. And he fanned on it. And the Islanders shoot it down the ice. 2-1 is the score. Minnesota is leading. 4 minutes left in the opening period. A minute 20 left in the penalty to Nystrom. On this power play, the Minnesota North Stars have passed through the middle. Didn't work. They have to hustle back on side. Hartsburg turning around. That was dangerous for a second, but now it's played into McAdam. McAdam centering it. That's Payne. Over too far. Couldn't shoot it. Back of the net, McAdam. McAdam hangs onto it in the corner. He's bumped. And now Payne going in to help. He fell, got back up, back to the blue line. Hartsburg shooting. Score! Hartsburg took the shot, and it was tipped in front of the net. And it's now 3-1.
Now Sonmore is starting to sound like a genius. That if we get that power play going, and we're going to get it going, we can give this Islander Hockey Club trouble. But look at the job that Bobby Smith does in front of the net with Potvin all on top of him. Smith, no chance. Can't even see the puck.
It shows you the importance of the strength in front of the net. You keep your eye on Smith. Well, look at Potvin's got him all tied up. But Smith, the size he is and the strength, kept the stick on the ice and redirected that shot from the point. Billy Smith, no chance on the play at all.
Mickey, again, a key, though, is that the North Stars are getting their shots away from the point. They have the time, and they're getting them through low, so it can be deflected.
Now Palmer's shooting one in. Give me that scoring play in a second. It's 3-1, Minnesota. Another power play goal here in the first period. Lane trying to move it out. Now the long pass going astray down the ice, right on the net. Balash stopped it. Bobby Smith got the goal. Hartsburg and Payne assisting at 16:30. 3-1, Minnesota. Now Giles beating a pass. Stopped by Bossy. Bossy looking for Trache. Couldn't hit him. Minnesota, 2 of them break out of the zone. Palmer picked the shot. Tried to carry in. Bossy got back. Couldn't clear it, though. It's kept in by Roberts. He stops in the corner. Trying to play it back. Broken up. Cleared by Lorimer. Hitting the line to center. Lorimer shooting it in. That's Balash stepping back from the net. Barrett comes back to the goal. Left it for Roberts, who'll carry. Out to center goes Polic. He was stopped. Now again, the New York Islanders trying to move it in. That's Ginelli with Merritt. They get it across the line, but center was held there, offside. Let's take a moment now from this action, and here's Dave Hodge.
Coming up in the first intermission, I'll be talking to Dennis Potvin of the Islanders. Our crew took to the ice earlier this afternoon and put on a display of face-offs, what goes right and what goes wrong, and Howie Meeker will have highlights of the first period, what has gone right for Minnesota, wrong for the Islanders.
Thank you, Dave. We look forward to our first intermission. 2:10 left in this first period. It's 3-1 Minnesota. McEwen tipped it up to center ice. Again, McEwen went after it, couldn't clear it. Young hands going in. A weak backhander after that rebound is Polic to Young hands. Knocking it across through the crease. Smith had to be very careful. Now Ginelli in the center ice area. A pass at his own line. McEwen stepping up with it. McEwen got away from a check. Balash let it slide to the corner. In back of the net, they center it. Merrick couldn't stop it. Longevin up the blue line. A weak backhander. Scramble for it in front. And Balash covering up in time. That was close. But the goaltender went down and grabbed it. And right away, they pile in and mix it up a bit, shoving and pushing. A minute and a half left in the period.
Well, we're going to see a lot more hockey out of Polic and Younghans. Every time, Gary, they've been on the ice. Tom Younghans, just moments ago, another scoring opportunity. They've been around the puck the whole first period.
Well, you talk about a shot in the arm. That's just exactly what those two guys have done for this hockey club, that shot in the arm. But here, a little scramble in front. Looks like Freddie almost put it in his own net. That's Freddie Barrett, number 3. Actually just trying to put it in front for Milosh.
Milosh went to get it. He sort of hesitated a little bit. Thought Barrett was going to take it. Almost cost him.
Things looking a little better for Glenn Sonmore.
So what a character he is, Bob. We chatted with him this morning, and boy, he's a real personable guy. He loves to talk to everybody, talks hockey all the time, and he's excitable.
Beautiful,
fired
man.
up, eh?
Come on in, sit down, fellas. It's only a Stanley Cup game. I got lots of time. Bourne shooting it in back to the net. That's Giles. Bourne couldn't stop him. Cicerelli gets it up to Bobby Smith at center. Bobby Smith tried to go in himself. Lane stopped it with a skate. A minute 15 left in the period. Now Lorimer tipped it down to center, but Minnesota regrouping, standing right along that red line. They just broke it up and cleared it into the New York zone. Bourne tipped the pass to Goring. Here he is to center. Goring catching up on the play. Here's Bourne. Rebound. Oh, it rolled right through the crease. And barely missed the far post. It's cleared down the ice to relieve the pressure. It'll be icing with 48 seconds left in the period. Gary, that was close.
That's the last thing that the North Stars need right now is a goal scored against them. But it all started in the Islanders zone when the defenseman had it. He just banked it off the boards for his teammate, and they came out. Forechecking by Smith. And then a close call here. Watch that breakthrough by Bobby Bourne, and just slides it over. Milosh getting a piece of it, and Goring, I don't know how he missed that.
Goring, you know, there's one example of Goring's speed hurt him a little bit. He had to do it again. I think he put the brakes on and stopped at the corner of the net, but he went right on by, and as a result, missed that puck laying right in the crease.
And Greg Smith was right there to clear it before any damage was done. I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond here at the Met Center, Bloomington, Minnesota. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. Islanders lead it 2-0, but not in this game. It's 3-1 for Minnesota as they threaten to get right back in the middle of the hunt for the Stanley Cup. Young nearly got a break. Near center, there's Young. Along with Hartsburg. Young going in looking for it. He's in against Ken Morrow. 25 seconds left of the period. They hold it on the boards. And a face-off coming up in the Islanders zone.
Well, some strong forechecking against Lorimer and the rest of the Islander defense. I think Sonmore wanted to find out just how they could handle themselves if the pressure was put on. Well, tonight, the pressure has been put on. The Islanders have coughed up the puck. But in the other area, Mickey, I think that the North Stars are doing an excellent job of challenging at their own blue line.
Their intensity level is up, way up from Long Island, the 2 games there. But as you mentioned, the Islanders will not be pushed around. They will not be shoved off this ice surface here tonight. This game's a long way from over.
Merrick missed the pass. 18 seconds left. It's cleared in by Greg Smith. Billy Smith, the goaltender for Potvin. Out for Merrick, number 11. His pass down the right side, too far for Bossy. Morrow goes down on one knee, cleared it up to the Minnesota line. 3 seconds left, time for a shot, maybe. It's played over on the right side as the horn goes to end the first period. Minnesota full value with a 2-goal lead.
Well, I've always felt that you have to play with desire and a lot of emotion, and this is a good demonstration by this North Star Hockey Club tonight.
Well, this is what they needed to get that jump in that first period with this home crowd. It'll be interesting to see if Minnesota can hold on to it the rest of the hockey game.
Okay, Gary and Mickey. And so the score at the end of the first period is Minnesota 3 and New York 1.
There's 2 of 3 goals on the power play by Kristoff and Bobby Smith. Steve Payne at the other. Mike Bossy has established a Stanley Cup record with his 30th point. He scored the Islander goal. Dino Ciccarelli has tied a rookie record with his 20th point. And speaking of records, Dennis Potvin of the Islanders is 1 point away from a playoff record for defensemen. I'm sure this isn't the score that you would have visualized, but I'm sure you're not terribly surprised that the North Stars are a better team at home.
It's the kind of game I was expecting. I think all of us were thinking there'd be a lot more intensity, you know, on the Minnesota North Stars part. And unfortunately, I think our lack of discipline out there showed, and they got 3 goals out of it. Even though they had 2 power play goals, I think they got the kind of opportunities that we don't normally give up.
Everybody in Minnesota talks about a game earlier in the season that you won 2-1 in this building, and I think some of the Islanders say it was the best game that they participated in all year. That's something like what we saw in the first period. I know you played better that night, but the style of play on both sides, these teams match up in an entertaining fashion when they play well.
Well, there's no question that this club plays much better. They skate so well in this building. You know, it seems that it suits their game extremely well. And that game during the year was probably one of the best hockey games I'd ever played in, and certainly the rest of the club felt that way. And, you know, quotes from the other players, you know, they felt the same way too. And we expect 2 such kind of games here. And as soon as we get our act together in the second period, it's going to be even tighter.
The reviewers who watched the Islanders all year gave you so-so notices at times. That doesn't come as any great shock to you, but it's been entirely the opposite in the playoffs. Nothing but raves. Are you on top of your game now, every bit the way you'd like to be?
I feel excellent, yes. I think that one of the major things in my game is preparation, and there's no question that during the season it's much harder to prepare for a game than it is during the playoffs. It just seems like you're faced with a challenge, you're faced with a situation that is sort of do or die, and you're really asked to show your talent, and your teammates depend on you a lot more. And the kind of season we had, you know, it wasn't hard for 4 or 5 players to have an off night, and we still win 5-0, and the team was rolling along so well for most of the year. And I think I fell into that a little bit, and I started thinking a little too much about other things. And, you know, obviously it's going to show on the ice a little bit. I felt satisfied with the year. I mean, the way we ended up was great, and I thought I got myself in the groove late in the season. Things started moving well, and I started skating well and carried it on through the playoffs. And as I say, it's preparation and concentration. And when you lack that a little bit during the season in December, as players will, it's going to show.
Well, it has shown the preparation and concentration that you have now in the playoffs. And it's been a pleasure to watch the Islanders and their captain, Dennis Potvin. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Coming up next, we'll show you what happened on the ice this afternoon when our crew, almost all of them, I guess, got together with NHL linesman John D'Amico, and they prepared and they concentrated and they talked about face-offs. Hockey Night in Canada continues in just a moment.
number 2, Wayne Merrick of the Islanders, won 2 key face-offs, which resulted in goals. So tonight, let's talk about face-offs. We have Mickey Redmond, Chico Resch, Howie Meeker, John D'Amico, who will be working tonight's game as a linesman, and see if we can give some demonstrations.
Well, I think you have one main objective on a face-off, to win the draw completely, get it to a teammate in a scoring position. If you can't do that, then win the draw or put the puck in a position where a teammate can go and get it, and your team then has possession of the puck. How about I play defense, you play offense?
All right, let's give it a try.
All right, John, what I've done is place one defenseman behind me, one defenseman off the post, and my 2 forwards in here, one to take the man that's checking and the one to go and get Mickey.
Okay. What about you, Gary?
And John, again, I'm going to set up my men where I want them. I'm a right-hand shot, so what I'm trying to do is draw on my backhand to the slot man, which is Mickey Redmond, okay?
All right, as a linesman, I have to expose the puck for the 2 players that are going to take the face-off and the goaltender involved, plus the other 4 players behind them. I have to expose it, and I have to make sure that the players are in proper position. If they're not in proper position, I'll give them 1 chance and 1 chance only.
Oh, come on. I am totally in a legal position, and you let him cheat, I don't have a chance. I have to cheat as well in order to have a chance.
That's probably my best face-off I had all year. All right, let's do it once more. If you want to cheat, but I'll have to correct you.
John, how about Chico Resch? What is he looking on the face-off?
Well, there's 2 areas of concern for the goalie. One is the puck coming right off the face-off, but that's not the real danger zone. You'll notice most goals scored right off the face-off go back to the guy at the top of the slot, and he'll usually score on the long side, just like Denny Potvin did the other night in Donnie Beaupre. And the reason is the goalie's playing the face-off and not the danger man, and so that's what you've got to try and do. Even though you look like you may be a little bit out of position, you got to play the guy at the top of the circle and forget a little bit about the puck coming off the face-off.
I would say, Howie, come on, straighten your legs out. That's good. Same way.
I haven't won 1 and 2. Let's say eventually I counteracted the move that you made. How are you going to win the draw to your forehand?
All right, sometimes you have to change. If you keep repeating the same thing, always drawing to your backhand, eventually the guy is going to get good at that. So the odd time I may change, but I'm still going to leave the man in the slot area there, but slide my body around. So this time I'm going to try and draw to my left point man.
All right, let's do it again. Do it right. Bring your leg around, Howie. Your right leg around, you don't move. Bring your left leg around, you don't move. Bring your stick over here.
I haven't touched the puck yet. Don't you wish all centermen were as bad as I am?
And you got to admit, Howie, I'm not a very good face-off man, but we rehearsed that, and you were supposed to let me win. You did that perfectly, but rest assured tonight you're going to see a lot of key face-offs in either zone.
Well, Howie didn't do too well in the face-offs, but rest assured he wins every highlight. And that is next. Howie Meeker with first period highlights as we return with the Stanley Cup Finals in just a moment. The Metropolitan Sports Center, a serene sight from outside. Inside, wild and raucous as the North Stars have a 3-1 lead over the New York Islanders. And in that period, the home team did everything Howie Meeker said it had to do. Scored on the power play, killed penalties, bumped, skated, and I think the most important thing, scored the first goal. I think they had to get the jump to get the fans behind them, to get themselves in a confident mood, and Christoph gave them that goal.
Well, it was a great goal. You kind of expected the North Stars to come out and do exactly what they did do if they had a manpower advantage. But holy jumping Jehoshaphat, you just can't dream the Islanders would take such foolish penalties. There you see Cicerelli. He's the guy that made this first goal, Christoph's goal, all possible. He goes into the corner and takes the North Star player off the puck. That's the first good thing. Now that's Christoph with the puck. He's looking out at the point to see if he can find an open man. And look at all the Islanders bunched in front of the net. They never do that. It goes out to Hartsburg. And oh, does Hartsburg make a great play. Now watch Christoph and Hartsburg. They work a tremendous 2-on-1. Hartsburg makes the fake, dumps it into Christoph. Got the Islander defenseman. Look at there. Faked the shot, put it on his stick. Now he's able to walk in front and look at the guy that's there, Cicerelli, screening the goaltender. Just a great, great play by 4, I would say, 4 North Star players. And the key to it all happened earlier was Bobby Smith. What a play he made. Same thing happens here on Smith's goal. It's in the corner, and Payne could have quite easily given up. It's the pursuit of the North Stars that has got them these 2 goals. Right here, he loses his balance, falls down, gets up, and no one goes in and tries to take the puck off him. Puts it back out to the point, and watch Bobby Smith head for in front of the net. That's Hartsburg again, moves to the center. That's the key, moves to the center, has all kinds of room. Man, and hey, they want to win this game.
If the first goal was important, that was equally so, because the Bossy goal should not have gone in, and there might have been every reason for the North Stars to let down at that point. Suddenly a 2-0 lead was 2-1. To come back and restore the 2-goal lead, which they have now, is going to help them a lot.
That Bossy's something else, isn't he? Went across the blue line under a full head of steam, went to the outside, stopped, and Hartsburg didn't know whether to climb over the boards, go sit down, or what to do. And while everybody's figuring out what Bossy should have done, he shoots the puck, catches the goaltender asleep, and it's in. Just a great hockey player, that guy.
3-1, some game thus far. Let's go now for more. The second period, Bob Cole and friends.
Okay, gentlemen, and the friends with Bob Cole, Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond. Both Stanley Cup representatives, Mickey with the Montreal Canadiens on 2 occasions, and Gary, 2 winners with the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm still working on mine. I don't think I'll ever get there now, fellas. In that first period, there you see it, Kristoff, 3:25, Payne, 14:09, then Bossy for New York at 14:47. Bobby Smith, his 7th at 16:30 to make it 3-1 Minnesota. And the shots, the Islanders 11-8. But what a period we saw. That first period, I think, the best period of hockey so far in the series.
Yes, it was. The North Stars are doing what they do best. They're skating, they're forechecking. They're not being held up with that blue line like they were in New York in games 1 and 2. They're able to penetrate, really put the pressure on the Islanders, and it showed with their persistent checking, the turnovers, which resulted in goals.
It's interesting, Dennis Potvin between periods said, well, when we get our act together here in the second period, we'll get it going. But, you know, we saw in Long Island, the North Stars come on and play better in game 2. But, Gary, in that situation, the Islanders just didn't allow them to play any better. They just shut them down all over the ice, and it's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see here if the North Stars can do the same thing to the Islanders, because it's not easy to turn it on. It's just impossible to turn it off and on whenever you need it.
Well, it's very important for the North Stars that they don't sit back and try to just say, hey, we've got them 3-1, it's going our way. They try and work even a little harder in this next period. Don't give the Islanders a chance to get their act together.
I mentioned the fact, gentlemen, that I would never make it to a Stanley Cup hockey team, a winner, but there's a reminder about our next game, Game 4, Islanders here again, of course, 8:30 p.m. Eastern start time. But, you know, tomorrow, Gary and Mickey, executive producer Ralph Mellenby, myself, against Bruce Hood and his partner, Fred Walker, who works with CBC Radio covering this series, we have a very important tennis match. If we can win that tomorrow, it'll be just as good as a Stanley Cup win for me, I'll tell you.
Well, I had my treat yesterday when I beat
there he is,
General Manager Lou Nanne on the golf course on his home track.
Now, he doesn't look too tough to beat, does he? Bruce Hood? Really, Mickey?
Well, you know, you talk about not having been in the Stanley Cup or won a Stanley Cup, Bob, but I understand that you've still got 4 years of eligibility left, so maybe there's still a chance yet.
Attaboy, guys.
You know, the way that Young and Polic played, they're going to be tough guys to keep out of the lineup from here on in. And it's a credit to those two individuals that I guess a tendency when you're not playing is to sulk. Don't go about keeping in shape. But that wasn't the case with those two youngsters. They practiced hard. They stayed for extra stops and starts, kept themselves in fine shape, and when the opportunity presented itself to get back in the lineup, they were ready, and they were the real spark in that period.
Well, you know, it's tough to sit out and not play. We all know you cannot get that great conditioning just by practice, and these guys really, that's all they've been doing is practicing, but they certainly come out here with a mental attitude that's overcome a little bit of maybe a physical drawback and taking advantage of it.
Well, there's Bourne going in for New York. He's stopped right away. These North Stars, I'll tell you, are getting back fast tonight, picking up the wing. They're checking. They're giving those defensemen a chance to stand up at the blue line and meet the Islanders before they can cause too much damage. Langevin back in his own zone. On the boards it goes for Goring. Couldn't control it. Minnesota offside. 3-1 the score. Minnesota leading the New York Islanders. Kristoff, Payne, and Bobby Smith. 2 of the goals were on power plays. Mike Fossey replied for New York.
Well, look at Bobby Bourne, born in Kindersley, Saskatchewan. 6'3", 200 pounds, Gary, and he can fly out there.
Well, that's his real asset, and you notice him wearing that shield. That was because of the fight with Maxwell. He suffered a shot in the nose, so has the shield on for a little extra protection.
Nystrom chopping it in. Coming back, Hartsburg in back of the net, on the boards it goes. At the line, Potvin keeping it in. Islanders trying to break through to get a goal down, get close before this second period gets too far gone. That's Merrick. He has to wait and did not. So Minnesota will have an opportunity to clear it. They do, and the play is allowed to continue up to center. Merrick tying his man up. Here's Nystrom one-on-one, going in on Giles. Nystrom sliding it past Tonelli. What a save by Gil Malash. 2-on-1. Tonelli was stopped. Malash coming up big for Minnesota. Nystrom again. Great pressure on now. Sliding it through the crease. Scramble. Oh! Just outside that goal post. I thought it was going in.
It was just sitting there right beside the goalpost, but you talk about the Islanders bringing up their level of play in this second period, and it starts with Merrick, Tonelli, and Nystrom. There's the 2-on-1 break, and what a save by Malash. Talk about making a save at the right time. The splits, and then the persistent pressure.
Bob, you're familiar with curling, and this puck looked like a curling rock, sliding underneath Malash and coming to rest right against the left goalpost. You'll have a look at it right here. Look at that. Just
that was an in turn, an out turn, and they had a goal. At the line, Lorimer couldn't keep it in. But I'll tell you, the New York Islanders are turning it on. Here at the beginning of the second period. Lawns have been plated back. That's Lane coming down. Shooting it in. Lorimer, number 4, out there on the defense now for the New York Islanders, along with Lane. Minnesota trying to clear it. McCarthy starts away. Lost it. A pass in front from Gillings to Conchel. Broken up again. They're bumping now. The puck comes to center. Bobby Smith reached it. Going in. Shooting. And he ripped it wide. And Billy Smith will cover up and hang on for the Islanders.
Well, Bobby Smith with that long reach really made a good move with that blue line. And 3 North Stars were converging on Billy Smith. And he elected to take the shot. But Trottier, never seen him play a bad game. That guy just comes to play every single game, offensively and defensively.
Look at Big Smith jumping into the hole after he made the original pass, making the rush. Unfortunately for Minnesota, he had both his wingers standing still at the blue line. They could have had a 3-on-1 break, but both wingers had to hold up and wait to be onside.
There's no way you're going to stop him the way Lane did there by stick-checking Bobby Smith.
Comes back to the line, laid on the boards and back to the net. That's Palmer trying to get it out, getting it away from McEwen. Comes back near the line, and down the ice it goes. Hartsburg has to hustle back with Giles taking over. Again, Palmer up to center ice. That's Broughton going in. Broughton lets the shot go. That's blocked by Langevin. Bounced into the corner. Bourne trying to move it. Goring trying to knock it out. Can't. Cleared right in front. Broughton tipped it into the corner to Kristoff. Again, Broughton looking for it. But it's scooped to center ice. Nearing the 3-minute mark of the second period. 3-1 Minnesota. From Bloomington, Minnesota, this is Stanley Cup 81.
Ford Courier, the compact pickup that delivers in a lot of ways.
I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond. 17-13 remaining of the second period. Here at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, it's 3-1. Minnesota leading the New York Islanders. And this is Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. Near center ice, that's Sutter for New York. Shooting it in. Coming back, Greg Smith, number 23 against Gillies. He made a good move. And Minnesota will bring it out. Here they come to center. Anderson gets up near the line. He was bumped off the puck. Young hands didn't see it. Now Roberts slides it back to his own line. Greg Smith played it down the ice across the New York line. That's Polic, number 16, with young hands, running Gillies on the board. Now Sutter's pass to Gillies, behind him. He tried to recover, taken out of the play, but the puck slides into the Minnesota zone. Pass over on this left wing. Lorimer, anticipating the play, tried to step in. Stanley flipped it in over the Minnesota line. There's Sutter looking for it, bumping with Smith. Merrick is coming back. He knocked the pass back to Lorimer. Orlane to Merrick. Merrick going in. On the wing. Stanley centered it. It comes back to Morrow. Morrow can't shoot it, and Minnesota just play it up to center ice. Nearing the 5-minute mark of the second period, Tonelli bringing it in again with Merrick to Tonelli, and it's going through. Beautiful passing play, and Nystrom cruising in front of Balash, and it's 3-2.
Well, this line again of the Islanders, always somehow when they need a lift, they seem to get it. Nystrom, Merrick, and Tonelli. But look at how they keep that puck in. Kind of a bad break there for Roberts as it comes right to Nystrom. Balash was out of position. He just had to slip it through his legs.
Well, they had Balash going 2 or 3 different directions. You see him make a couple of moves. See him go that way, and he can't get back in time, get the feet together to stop the shot by Nystrom. But he went to make the move on the first pass, which hit his defenseman's skate and redirected it. And the pass over to Nystrom, 3-2, Minnesota.
That goal coming at 4:10, and Merrick is coming in again. They pile in on the boards in the corner, but the puck squirts loose back to the net. Jim Young after it in the corner for Minnesota, bumped by Nystrom. The strong forechecking line of the New York Islanders, Nystrom, Tonelli, and Merrick. Back to the line, Morrow's shot, stopped in front of the net, and Young couldn't reach that long pass. Young going in after it against Potvin. In to help is McAdams. Comes back to the blue line. Oh! Deflected shot just missed the far corner. Now Payne centered one. Standing in front of the net is Potvin. He gets away from McAdams. Pass on the right side. Nystrom is coming back. It's kicked outside the line by Morrow, who had broken his stick. Now in center ice. That's Payne shooting one. That hit a leg. The rebound is right there. But Potvin covered up. Another shot. Blistering drive by Cicerelli, flying into the stands. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Bloomington, Minnesota. Bob Cole, Mickey Redmond, Gary Dornhofer. It's 3-2, Minnesota. Here in the second period, Smith tried a long shot. It's offside at the line. The goal scorers, Kristoff, Payne, and Bobby Smith for Minnesota. Bossy and Nystrom here in the second period for the New York Islanders. Face-off coming up outside the New York blue line. Now Bossy played it back. McEwen for New York. His pass up the line, cleared down by Langevin, coming in on the wing. That's Gillies and Bossy, and it's knocked him back to the net. McCarthy watching Bossy back there. Now a penalty coming up against Minnesota. Trottier was upended, and Minnesota North Stars drawing a penalty here. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Bloomington, Minnesota. Bobby Smith tripping at 5:39.
Now you talk about the break that the Islanders need. They've narrowed it to 1, and now on the power play, you'll watch Bobby Smith trying to do some forechecking against Trottier. And there is the trip. And this will be the third power play opportunity for the Islanders, who are yet to score.
Well, the pressure the Islanders are putting on Minnesota showing there with 4 or 5 minutes. The last 4 or 5 minutes, the Islanders have been all over the North Stars, and as a result, you see the penalty taken by Smith, trying to haul down Trottier at the side of the net.
Well, let's see if the North Stars can hang on now. With great power play of the New York Islanders. That's Trottier back to the net. Scoring percentage on a power play over 40%, remember. Into the corner. It comes back to Potvin. And we're getting more penalties, I believe. In front of the net, Big Gillies and Greg Smith are pushing and shoving. And I think they're both going, Gary.
Might not be a bad idea to get rid of Gillies from that power play because he's going to give Malash all kinds of trouble.
Well, you knew Gillies, as soon as this power play started, was going to park himself in front of Joe Malash. And him and Smith were going at it tooth and nail. And Hood almost called it moments before, Gary, but he just didn't see enough. This is what he almost called, and then they got into it a little heavier, and he finally made the call. But Gillies out of there does make it a little bit easier for Minnesota. They don't have to deal with that big fella.
Two pretty big men going at it, trying to gain position. Smith doing a real good job keeping Gillies from getting in front of Malash.
All right, then. Those penalties, of course, coming at 5:56 of this period. On the Wilder side. Up the center for Polish. He just played it in wide of the net. New York back to pick it up. And here they come. Down to center. This is Bourne slapping one in. Off the boards, it comes out on the other side to Trottier. Bourne goes in to help him. And again, they get a whistle as they pile in on the boards. 4 players, maybe 5, and a little pushing again.
Well, there you have a look at number 16, Mike Polish. His last game was in March against the Vancouver Canucks, and he scored a shorthanded goal that night, as did Youngins. So this is his first action of this year's playoffs. And he was a member of the Stanley Cup team that won in '77.
Polish plays a lot of hockey against the big centers in the National Hockey League, the offensive centers, and good opportunity here. Polish and Tom Youngins now going off the ice, but we had an idea to see them out there, the effective play that Glenn Sonmor was hoping he'd get from those two.
Puck is knocked down the ice by Minnesota. Gillies and Smith, those penalties canceling out, of course. The Islanders had that one-man advantage, remember, on the Bobby Smith penalty. Down to center ice, Bossy trying to drop it back. He does to McEwen. Into the corner it goes to Trottier to Bossy. Didn't work. Trottier fell. Minnesota will shoot it down the ice again.
Boy, what a game Craig Hartsburg is playing back on defense, number 4 for Minnesota. Been all over the ice, Gary.
How often have you seen him? 2 Islanders in the corner and Hartsburg, and he'll come up with that puck.
40 seconds left in Bobby Smith's penalty. We're at the 13-minute mark of the second period, and that's Bourne digging in. In back of the net, he's bumped on the boards. Bossy got it back to the blue line. Goring gets set. Didn't shoot it. Gave it to Potvin. Potvin sizing up Goring. There's the shot. Scores! Potvin watched Goring go in the slot. He moved in a step or two, and it was deflected in front of the net, and it's a brand new ball game.
Well, we'll have to wait and see who got the deflection. Taking Gillies' place as he was in the penalty box was Bob Bourne. There you see him, right in front of the net, screening Joe Malash. He didn't see the puck at all. There you see it. It may have been Bourne that did tip it past Joe Malash. He had no idea where that shot was coming from. You see an angle from behind Joe Malash, exactly what he would see on this play.
Well, we've had a few examples of the importance. Actually, it looked like it hit a Minnesota stick there, right at the top of the shooter. Was it Polish? Just caught part of his stick, and the deflection went by Malash.
So the score is tied at 3. 7:16, the time of that goal by Goring.
Scoring for New York, his 6th goal of the playoffs, number 91, Butch Goring. With an assist to number 5,
Potvin got an assist, and Bossy got an assist also. Another point for Bossy.
Well, that point by Potvin ties the National League record for a defenseman, 23 points. That was his 23rd, and you want to guess who the record was held by?
Do I want to guess?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, I'll guess. Fellow by the name of Orr, maybe?
Very
That's
good,
only a
Robert.
guess.
Very good. Good guess. That was back in 78, or back in 1970, rather. Brad Park also had that in 78.
Okay, Gary, and now Nystrom couldn't clear it. He was stopped by McAdam. Minnesota leading by 2 goals at 1 point. Watch the Islanders come at him, and now it's tied at 3 here in the second period. Nearing the 8-minute mark, a long shot by Hartsburg, way off the mark. Giles back to his own line to Hartsburg. Up at center. Here he comes. Shooting one in. Get off the boards back to the New York net. Now Tonelli is starting out. Here he is up to center to Nystrom. Merrick in the center ice area shoots it in. Tonelli went in looking for it, but Minnesota just played it up to the neutral zone. Lorimer tried a shot from a great distance. Malott stopped that easily. 3-3 tie here in the second period, nearing the 9-minute mark. Minnesota led by McCarthy. Up across the line. McCarthy is bumped. Finally fell. Nearly got by Dennis Potvin. Nystrom back into his own net with Potvin. The pass from the left wing board. Minnesota will keep it in. Right in front of the net. It's cleared back by McCarthy. A shot by Roberts went up high and over the net. Tonelli slapped at it, and it goes all the way down the ice. And it'll be icing against New York with the score. Minnesota 3, the New York Islanders 3. This is Stanley Cup 81.
North Stars are pleased to welcome.
There's the night live shot of the Met here in Bloomington, Minnesota, where the score is tied at 3 in the second period. 11:07 remaining. Face off to the left of Billy Smith. Bobby Smith of Minnesota against Goring. Smith got the draw back to the line. Weak shot is stopped. Bossy is coming out with Bourne and Crottier. Crottier up over the line. He got away from Barrett. Cutting into the corner. Centered it. Bossy was stopped from getting a stick on it thanks to Malott. Potvin kept it in. Crottier centered to Bossy. Bossy having difficulty, couldn't control it. And back for McCarthy of Minnesota. Up over the line he goes. McCarthy stopping. Slides it in front. Bobby Smith was in behind the netminder, but couldn't see the puck. It went by him. Potvin shoveled it out to center. This is Gillies going in with Potvin on the wing. Potvin circling near the blue line. Back to Bossy. He tried his stick handle through and could not. Minnesota in some trouble now. A penalty coming up. It'll be against Gillies, I think, for interference. Gillies of New York. Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment. Clark Gillies is off for interference. At 9:40, he was caught in front of the net.
Well, watch number 10, Roberts. He'll try to go for the puck, and there's the little shot by Gillies with the stick. And referee Bruce Hood wheels Gillies, and that'll be another opportunity, the first one in the period for the North Stars.
And the North Stars, Mickey and Gary, have already scored twice on power play.
That's a good example of what Sonmore was talking about when he said the kind of stuff that the Islanders were getting away with in New York. But tonight they're being called for it, and as you mentioned, they've already been burnt twice.
I have to make a correction here on that Orr record. That was established in 1972. 24 points. Orr did that in 15 games. And Brad Park did not have a record or a part of that record, but he has 9 goals, as did Orr, which Potvin is closing in on with 8 at this point.
And Gary, they're all listening to you tonight.
Lots of records are going to be broken in this playoffs.
Bobby Smith coming out at center. Smith tried to lug it in himself and couldn't. Hartsburg from center ice. A high one goes into the New York zone. That's Lorimer, number 4, back there. It's knocked down along the board. Cleared in again. Back in the net is Bobby Smith. Centering it. Knocked into crease. Lane swiftly got rid of it. And it's knocked down the ice. Billy Carroll racing after it. Hartsburg got back goal for Minnesota. Minute 20 left in the penalty. Bad pass. Went down the ice. And it's going to be icing against the Minnesota North Stars.
Well, unfortunately for the North Stars, that puck jumped right over top of Payne's stick, and of course the icing resulting with a face-off back in Minnesota territory. To look at Butch Goring, what a competitor this guy is. 40-some stitches in his face the other night, and awful-looking scar that he took, but he's get right back in there and get at it again. No sweat.
Our coach Al Arbor really credits Goring with the success that the Islanders have had in the penalty-killing role, and Goring is one of the best at it.
Well, they've had 9 short-handed goals in this playoff. That's something. The New York Islanders. Minnesota trying to move it up now on this power play. The center ice. Cicerelli trying a shot. Good hard shot, but stopped by Billy Smith. 1 minute left in the penalty. Roberts coming in. Roberts setting it up in front of Kristoff, and he was covered by Trottier. Minnesota staying with it. Roberts back to the net. This is Kristoff in the corner. Cicerelli goes back to the net. The pass went to the line. And then back into Kristoff. He tried his shot, hit Potvin. Cicerelli played it back. That'll start the Islanders' Trottier out. Coming up with Bourne. They're short-handed, and they shoot it in. Bourne went after it. Tried to center it. And the North Stars sweeping it around the net, and starting out is Kristoff. This Cicerelli at center. Up over the line, Cicerelli's shot is deflected by Potvin, and it's into the crowd.
Well, there's big Dino Cicerelli. You see, he tied a record, a playoff record for a rookie with his 20th point tonight. In that first period, he got an assist. Don Maloney of the New York Rangers had that record in 1979. Maloney had 7 goals and 13 assists during that period.
Dino. All over the building.
He's a popular character here in Minnesota. They've got those dinosaurs, the inflatable dinosaurs that they carry around here, and all over the place. Dino Cicerelli buttons.
17 seconds left in Gillies' penalty. And Minnesota, Young going back to the net. Into the corner, Goring watching him. He'll try to tie him up, but Bobby Smith steals it with 5 seconds left in the penalty. Hartsburg, out it goes to Payne. On the wing, McGann, but it hit the line for Ron Finn, and Gillies is back on. Here's Goring coming in. Goring gets set, slides it back in front of the net. They can't move it out, and a great shot. They knock it in. Balazs had stopped. The puck first, it bounced down. Gillies and Goring were right there, and it's 4-3 New York.
Well, Gillies would have never gotten that puck had it not hit linesman Ron Finn, but that broke up the play, and Goring came back. And again, some miscues here by the North Stars, trying to beat a man right in front of your own zone. Timmy Young, you just can't do things like that. There's so many other options that you have available to you.
Well, Goring hit it just like a baseball. Right out of midair after Gillies took the shot. The loose puck right there, up in the air, and Goring smacked it right out of midair. Balazs, very unfortunate goal for the North Stars to give up. But Gary, you're right. They'll be screaming about that later on. If that could be a very important goal, the puck hitting the linesman over the other side of center ice and letting the Islanders get the break in on Minnesota.
11:51, that goal. The go-ahead goal by Goring from Gillies. And for the first time, the Islanders are in front. Now this is Sutter getting a pass down the center. Carroll going in with Nystrom, who is offside, and it's called back. Well, the Stars have come out in the second period, and I don't know what happened. They settled back, and they watched the Islanders drive in. Just what is going on?
Well, I think Dennis Potvin said it best the other day in New York. He said, whether we're 1 goal up or 2 goals down, we just mind our business. Just things will happen. We play positional. We don't panic, and sooner or later we'll get the goals back. They certainly showed it tonight.
That goal right there by Goring was a big break.
But the ability to capitalize on the breaks when they're there.
Greg Smith for Minnesota, trying to get the crowd going again, and his teammate getting it up to center. It's chopped into the zone and stopped by Billy Smith. As Polic made that long lob shot. Easy save for Smith. Sutter playing it out. Polic again shooting it off the boards and back in. That's Langevin going back. 7:05 left in this second period. 4-3 the New York Islanders. They shoot it down the ice again. It's over that goal line, and icing is called against New York. Live from Bloomington, Minnesota, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, and the Islanders have stormed back for a 4-3 lead here in the second. Roberts coming in, kicked away by Billy Smith, the rebound. The backhand shot by Broughton didn't miss by much. Back of the net, Lane for New York. Long pass to center to Goring. Down the left side is Bourne. He couldn't get by at center. Lorimer played it in, off the boards and back of the net. That's Gordy Roberts, number 10. A pass to the line, and Palmer swings away for Minnesota. Up to center. Palmer in across the line. Got away from Lane. Charging in there along the boards for Lorimer. Now Palmer lost his stick. It comes to Bourne. He lobs it up the line to Giles. Closing in. And the backhander was deflected in front of the net. Bourne. He couldn't get by at center. Lorimer played it in. Off the boards and back of the net. That's Gordy Roberts. Number 10. A pass to the line, and Palmer swings away from Minnesota. Up to center. Palmer in across the line. Got away from Lane. Charging in there along the boards for Lorimer. Now Palmer lost his stick. It comes to Bourne. He lobs it up the line to Giles. Closing in. And the backhander was deflected in front of the net. And Lorimer shoots it down the ice. Giles hopping back. 6 minutes, 5 seconds left in the period. Coming in on the wing. It's Roberts clearing it into the corner, and Gillies decides to shoot it away to relieve the pressure. It'll be icing called against the New York Islanders with 5:55 left in the period. 4-3, New York.
Again, very important now that the North Stars bring up their level of play. They've fallen behind, but you can't hang your head and worry about it. You got to dig a little deeper. Everybody's been in that position before. They know they're playing against a heck of a hockey club.
The Leafs fans haven't quit on them. That kind of says it all, how they feel about their North Stars here in Minnesota.
They played a great first period. I know the fans cannot understand it out here in the... They laid back a little bit. I don't know. I don't suppose they tried to do that, but something happened, and the Islanders... keep coming.
Only 3 shots by the North Stars in this period, so that tells you a little of what the Islanders have done defensively. Just shut them down.
Trottier stopped near center. Merrick shoots it in. Malach stepping back to the net with 5:45 left in the period. 4-3, New York. Greg Smith decides to bring it around into Gold Creek. Got away from Merrick. A pass goes down in the left wing too far. And the Islanders back again. Nystrom. He's bringing it out, getting it up the center. The pass into Tonelli. Merrick trailing. Tonelli slides it in front, and Nystrom barreling toward the net, ran into the goal post. Another shot by Morrow. Knocked down in front, Campbell. And there's Nystrom centering it. It comes back again to Morrow. Another shot was blocked. And those Stars break out. Coming down to the wing is McAdam. Over the line, took the shot, and it's blocked by Billy Smith. Ken Morrow turns. His pass coming to center. Grabbed right there by Hartsburg. Laid it back. Again, he'll bring it out. Hartsburg up to Bobby Smith. Bobby Smith trying to go in. Was pushed off the puck by Morrow. Nystrom got back to help him. Now it's Merrick intercepting. His pass went astray and down the ice with 4:40 left in the period. 4-3, New York. Minnesota led 3-1 at 1 point. Bobby Smith trying to bring it in. He's pushed out of the play along the boards, and McEwen takes it in front of Billy Smith to Trottier. Trottier and Gillies coming in. The pass to Gillies at the line to Bocci. Bocci off the board, trying to center it. Ciccarelli is back there, something hard with Trottier. Now a penalty coming up against Trottier. Right after Ciccarelli. The goaltender, Malach, racing out of the net. The extra man on again. Along the board, Bocci. Couldn't touch it. Play still goes on. Now they touch it, and it's called a penalty against the New York Islanders. It'll be against Trottier. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Bloomington, Minnesota. There's the great competitor, Brian Trottier. Got frustrated, I think, fellows, and took a penalty.
Well, we saw Dino Ciccarelli throw 2 pretty good checks. There's number 1 against Trottier. Then as he's skating away, Trottier gives him the stick. But the one that was even more impressive than that was big Clark Gillies. He just put him down like a sack of potatoes.
You get Ciccarelli 185 pounds, and he decked Gillies, who's 215 or 20 pounds.
Now Minnesota, again, the man advantage. They poke it in across the New York line. Cleared back out again. Broughton trying to organize near his own blue line. Scoring a penalty killer for New York. Along with Carroll. Kristoff coming in. Neat pass to Cicerelli. To Kristoff. A high shot, nowhere near the net. Cicerelli slapped it back to the goal. Morrow trying to clear it with Carroll slapping at it. Still inside the line. Now it's cleared. Tipped down the ice. Goring racing after it. Coming back is Giles, but Goring rolled it in front of the net. He got there first. It was harmless enough, though. Roberts coming out for Minnesota. Minute 15 left in the penalty. Kristoff at center dropped it. Roberts had his pass knocked down, and Carroll will clear it for New York to Goring. Goring trying to go in. He's fouled, though, on the offside. It'll come back near the center ice red line.
Another example how valuable a player that Butch Goring is. He's all over the ice. He just doesn't give the North Stars a chance to settle down and get into their routine. You see the stats. They're shorthanded goals. And when the opportunity presents itself, they're on the go offensively. And the tendency, of course, is when you have the manpower advantage, you just relax a little when the opposition gets the puck, figuring they'll shoot it down the ice.
Well, it should be enough just to worry about scoring when you've got the advantage. But Minnesota's also got to worry about the Islanders with all those shorthanded goals. And you can see why with Goring, the feet never stop going. He causes more trouble like that.
2:55 left in the period. Minnesota on a power play led by Bobby Smith. Looking dangerous on this rush. The ball hasn't covered back to the net. And New York shoot it down the ice. 42 seconds left in Trotier's penalty. Jim Young now dropped it over to the side of the net. Minnesota starting away. A pass to this side. Payne going in with Smith. Smith looking for it. On the board. Still fighting for it. Can't move it. They hold it, and the referee, Bruce, calls the play, and they get a face-off in the Islanders' zone.
You look at Keller, what a free agent pick he was, and his contract comes up for renewal next year, as do a few Islanders, Dennis Potvin, Bob Nystrom, Gary Howitt. So perhaps they might need the Brinks truck when they load up at the island to pay some of the salaries that these guys will be demanding.
Brad Maxwell not playing tonight for Minnesota. He's got some experience that they certainly have to miss out there, Gary, back on that point, especially on the right point in the power play.
Not only that, clearing the front of the net, he's the strongest of the North Stars back there.
They get another whistle now as Lorimer falls on it. Now killing some seconds, only 14 seconds left in Trotier's penalty.
You know, you talked earlier about Maxwell not playing because of the injured shoulder in the fight with Bob Bourne back in New York. And this is one of the reasons why Lou Nanne is against the fighting and the rough stuff in hockey. It's cost him some pretty serious injuries in hockey players this season.
Well, it's very evident due to the fact that Maxwell really has done a good job in clearing that front of the net. Now without him there, you saw how the Islanders have been able to get that man. It's resulted in a couple goals.
Young got it back to the blue line. Here's a chance for Hartsburg. A bullet shot, and right on the line again, and Billy Smith somehow saw it quickly and jumped on it.
Well, again, it's the ability to get that shot through, getting men in front of the net. Steve Payne, McAdam were both converging. Watch that puck just go beside the crease there. Billy Smith in a hurry to cover up.
You notice there, Gary, unlike what the Islanders are doing, Minnesota not getting a guy in front of Smith to screen him. Malash has been screened a couple of times tonight on goals.
Lorimer slapped one high on the glass. That's into the crowd. Only 3 seconds left now in the New York penalty.
You know, a defenseman can only hold up so long, and then he has to unload that shot on the net. So for the forward, he has to get himself in position before that shot comes at him and get in front of Billy Smith.
I'm Bob Cole, and Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond along with us with 2 minutes left in the second period. And again, New York doing a fabulous job killing this penalty. Trottier is back on. 4-3 is the score. New York storming back here in the second period. Goring getting the go-ahead goal at 11:51. They got them all here, haven't they?
I wonder if he's a North Star fan or an Islander fan. You see him, this fella, all over the country at all different types of sporting events.
Former right winger.
No question.
Bob Cole's hair used to look like that.
He's about the height of Ronnie Harrison, our director, that guy. With the hat on. Pass comes out over the line at center. Greg Smith laid it back in. Bossy coming in now. Bossy gets set. A pass in front was picked off neatly. Holich couldn't clear it. Now it comes to center. Minnesota's Anderson. Good move at the line. And McEwen of the New York Islanders is going to get the gate. He upended the Minnesota North Star, breaking in Anderson, and here with 1:35 left in the period, another penalty, New York.
Well, another good example of when you're skating, how you can draw that penalty, and Anderson was in full flight. McEwen almost had to haul him down. So this will be the third opportunity for the North Stars in this period, but a good move to the outside by Anderson. McEwen, the stick, and another power play opportunity.
Well, a penalty right here to New York. And we'll take a break now to check in with Dave Hodge.
As the North Stars get set for another power play, we'll tell you that in the second intermission, Wayne Gretzky will pay us a visit. I'll be talking to Chico Resch, and Howie Meeker will have highlights.
All that coming up in our second intermission.
It'd be a big lift here for the North Stars if they could get on the board in this power play and go into that dressing room tied at 4.
Well, only 1:35 left in the period.
Now Minnesota with a man advantage as McEwen is off. Roberts at the blue line gets set. Flipped it off to the corner. Hotman getting back quickly around the net. Brock tried to take it from him. Hotman again. He'll get a chance to shoot it away. And he does. Minnesota have to come back and regroup. Time running out of this period. 1 minute and 5 seconds left in the period and 1:30 left in the penalty. So they'll play the rest of this one short-handed. Further penalties, of course, for the goal. Here's the announcement. Less than a minute remaining in this period. It's 4-3. New York leading. Tim Young played it out. Now at the line. It's cleared down to the left wing. Lane coming in. Set it back. A quick cutting shot. Just missed the far corner. Bobby Smith standing right in front of the net with Cicerelli. Off the boards. Hartsburg keeps it in. Pushed it along the boards in the corner. Morrow took his man out of the play. Bobby Smith again. Back to Hartsburg. Shot. Rebound. Hartsburg. Knocked down again. And outside the line it comes. They nearly got a 2-on-1. Carroll overskated it. He was with Goring. Minnesota, the heat on now. Bring it across the line again. It's back to get one shot. Oh! And his shot wide. Smith had his shot knocked down at the blue line. It went by Hartsburg down the ice. And time will run out of this period as Hartsburg goes back.
Well, there's something against the slap shot. Timmy Young had all kinds of time. He was all alone. If he would have just let that wrist shot go, picked the corner, he might have had himself a goal.
If he had it again, I think he'd probably want to walk in a little closer because there was nobody within 30 feet of him. He could have walked in all alone on Billy Smith, but he elected to take the slapper and miss the shot.
Well, it'll be a time of looking in the mirror and seeing what you can do to make things happen in the third period for the Minnesota North Stars. A big third period coming up.
So it's the New York Islanders leading 4-3, and here's Dave Hodge.
The Islanders did recover well from that 3-1 deficit in the first period. Bob Nystrom got them started, and then Butch Goring scored the 2 other goals, one on a power play, his 6th of the playoffs, and then Goring put the Islanders in front after Clark Gillies took the puck off Tim Young. 2 goals from Butch Goring, and the Islanders are now in front by 1. The score at the end of the second period of play then, the New York Islanders 4 and Minnesota 3. mention in the NHL record book. More trophies sure to come next month. And Wayne Gretzky is with us now. I think I asked you last year at this time what you would do for an encore after the Hart and the Lady Byng, and you answered it. Over 80 games and 9 more playoff games in which you scored 21 points. It's obligatory now to say, do you have any individual goals in mind in terms of goals, assists for next year, or is there a 200-point season rolling around in your mind, something like that?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I think that when we improve as a hockey team and the more games we win, I think that everybody will improve on their individual stats. And I was evident this year in winning more hockey games. I improved on my stats. Hopefully we can win more hockey games next year for the fans in Edmonton and for ourselves, and I'm sure I can improve on my stats.
Wayne, let's make the point. The Oilers are the only team thus far to beat the Islanders in these playoffs. Does that give you some small sense of satisfaction to know that you did it not once but twice and gave them the toughest time they've had so far?
Well, I think we're very proud of that. I think that we played well against them. We played their style. And I think that basically our team is somewhat structured to their team, and we have the same kind of teams. And in order to beat the Islanders, you have to have hot goaltending, and we had good goaltending. The North Stars are getting good goaltending, but they need great goaltending to beat them. And they never miss. They don't lose their composure, and they just go out there. They're down 3-1, and they're playing like they're winning 5-0, and just don't panic, and just a great hockey team.
Based on what Edmonton did, would you offer any tips to the North Stars, or is it too late to turn this around for them?
Well, it's never too late. Minnesota's got to have the attitude that they can win. But if I was the North Stars, the first thing that I'd be saying is don't take any penalties against them, because their power play is so potent. They have everything you need on a power play. Big guy, a goal scorer, shooter on the point, and a guy who can make plays. So they have everything going for them. And I think that, like I said, in order for them to beat them, they have to have their goaltender just play the best goaltender he's ever played in his life.
When your coaches tried to prepare you for the Islanders, was a weakness mentioned, or was it suggested that there is no weakness and we've just got to play well, we can't probe any area of their team?
That's exactly it. They really don't have a weakness for a hockey team. They just play so disciplined. They're well coached, and the guys like Potvin and guys like Trottier, when things are down, those guys are out there saying, don't worry about it, don't lose your composure, just keep playing the same way. And when we played against them, Glenn Saylor was stressing to us that we can't make any mistakes against them, we can't take penalties, or they'll capitalize. And you know, they scored a lot of goals against us on the power play, and I think that's one of the main reasons why they beat us.
No matter what happens here, the North Stars are going to look back at this playoff and say it was a learning experience for so many of their young players. The rookies have just done a terrific job, but obviously Minnesota hopes for more in the future as the rookies get more experience. Do you as a team in Edmonton feel the same way about what you accomplished against Montreal and the battle you put up against the Islanders?
We feel we've learned a lot. Against Philadelphia a year ago, we learned from them. This year against Montreal and against the Islanders, we feel we've learned a lot. And I'm sure the Minnesota players are thinking the same thing. But when you come so close to win the Stanley Cup, you can't say, well, maybe next year we'll improve every year and get better next year. You can't think like that, because you never know if you're ever going to get this close again. And Philadelphia was in the final last year, and look at what happened to them this year. So you can't think that way, and you just got to go out and try to win right now and try to win the Stanley Cup when you're there, because you may not get another chance. But still, I think they will learn.
Well, you make a good point. Minnesota can't be disappointed with what has happened. Nobody figured they would get here, really, from ninth place. But as you do things that people don't expect you to do, the losses really do become tougher. I'm sure you felt very badly after the sixth game against the Islanders.
We did. We felt that a lot of people in Edmonton and almost all of Canada were behind the Edmonton Oilers, which was a great feeling for our hockey team. And we were very disappointed we lost that sixth game. Like I said, you never know if you're ever going to get that close again. And we only made it to the quarterfinals, but who knows? Maybe we might get upset in the preliminary rounds next year, or maybe we might not make the playoffs. Hoping that doesn't happen, but you never know what can happen. And we were very disappointed. We have a young team, and everybody took it hard. But like I said, we did learn a lot, and hopefully we can use that next year.
We should mention that Wayne is in Minnesota to receive yet another award tomorrow. Having been selected NHL Player of the Week more times than anyone else, he will be honored as the NHL Player of the Year, and there will be no arguments anywhere hockey is watched about that. Thank you for being with us, and congratulations for a season that I won't say may never be equal, because you're gonna do that all by yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hockey Night in Canada continues in just a moment. Champions will do what the Islanders did in the second period as a matter of course. They were down 3-1 and came out and dominated the second period of play. The North Stars had very few shots till the final couple of minutes, and the Islanders scored 3 goals to take the lead. Someone who knows very well how the Islanders operate, what makes them tick, is Chico Resch, who was with them last year and, of course, in many other seasons, but saw them last year and was part of them last year as a championship team. What would they have said after the first period, or how would they have felt? Obviously, they didn't panic. They didn't seem to be too bothered by a first period that wasn't to their liking. Just turned it all around in the second period as though they were going out for a Sunday stroll.
Well, that's right, Dave. And a lot of people have been saying how great they are, and that gets to you. You start believing it. They do themselves anyway, but they realize they're a great team. And as much as what they're doing, it's what Minnesota didn't do. And Minnesota had them on the ropes. But just like everyone's talked about, you know, the Islanders were keeping their composure, like Wayne just talked about. They kept coming. You think, we got a team down 3-1. Certainly that's enough to get them off their game, maybe some negative thoughts, but it didn't happen. And the Islanders knew that. The North Stars knew that. And, of course, the second period showed that.
The star of the period, maybe the star of the entire series and the playoffs if the Islanders go on to win the Stanley Cup. Butch Goring, you saw him come to the Islanders last year in a trade from L.A. A couple popular players left, Dave Lewis and Billy Harris, and I'm sure there were mixed feelings on the club about that deal, but I wonder how long it took him to fit in. He certainly fits in now.
Well, he sure was that missing piece to the puzzle that the Islanders needed. And where there were mixed feelings, but when he came, he showed a lot of enthusiasm. Remember, he'd played for LA, and he was hungry to play on a winner, and he wanted it. He was around 30, and he knew the one thing missing in his life was the Stanley Cup. So he gave it everything, and that really propelled the Islanders last year. Now, I guess this year, you know, when you got so many great players, you overlook a Butchie Goring because he's not flashy, but he's always picking away. He knocked that goal out of the air after setting it up. Power plays, picking away. And if you just really isolate on him, like you said, Davey, you realize that he's got a good shot at the Conn Smythe.
Well, they said Goring had a lot to do with the Islanders winning the Stanley Cup last season. This season, even more so. And while you can't overlook Bossy and Potvin and Trottier, watch Butch Goring be high in that Conn Smythe trophy voting if the Islanders win the Cup, maybe even win it. Would you have a choice? Would yours be Goring?
Well, it could be, but you mentioned a couple others there. But I feel spread it around a little bit, and if he deserves it and it's close, I hope he gets it over someone who's already won it.
Okay, hard to ignore the 30 points that Bossy has scored already, but Goring seems to be the sympathetic choice, if that makes any difference. We'll return with highlights. Howie Meeker coming up to look at just what the Islanders did and how they did it in the second period. He's returning with the Stanley Cup Finals in just a moment. Islanders 1 goal up and 1 period away from a third straight victory in this Stanley Cup final, and I'm back to asking Howie Meeker what the North Stars must do to win, or maybe I should say, why didn't they do it in the second period?
Well, Dave, first of all, I'd like to maybe enlarge on a little something Chico said. It's what the North Stars aren't doing. You make a teensy-weensy, just a little mistake against that Islander team, and they make you pay the price. You might get away with it with other clubs, but not this group. And you talk about the Trottier line, the Goring line. Hey, I'll tell you, when you really need help, Merrick, Tonelli, and Nystrom just have been super the whole series. We want to show you the Nystrom goal. It started by Tonelli. You'll see Tonelli get the puck, and gosh, does he make a great play. He's in the top of your screen. He'll get it back right here. That's Tonelli with the puck, and he catches Greg Smith way back. Now, Smith has to attack him, and when he attacks him, the puck or the play is in favor of Tonelli. Tonelli tries to hit Nystrom with the first pass, gets in, picks it up again, and Nystrom comes in and puts it between the legs. Now, we want to show you just a little mistake is Greg Smith. Tonelli here, look, is coming across the blue line, and Smith has to attack him. Anytime the defenseman has to attack the puck carrier, the advantage goes to the puck carrier. There's the luck on the play, but Tonelli with great pursuit backhands the pass to Nystrom, and Nystrom between the legs, and I would think Milosh would like to have that back again, Dave. Put the stick on the ice, he might have saved it. The Butch Goring goal. His second catches Tim Young on the top of your screen playing right defense, and he just walks around him very, very easily. He tries to hit number 25 Carroll in the slot, and he doesn't. Tim Young comes up with the puck again, and this is a no-no. He tries to beat great big Gillies standing still. You just don't beat a fellow that size. And that much talent standing still. Malash makes the save. The puck goes way up in the air. It's a rainmaker. He missed it with his glove, and there's Goring, who made the play start at the beginning, line drives it home. And I'll tell you that Goring, as you said earlier, has been playing great hockey.
In between the two goals, you saw another one by Goring, which tied the score. It's now 4-3 Islanders. Third period ready to go. Here's Bob Cole.
Thank you, Dave. Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond. Glenn Sonmore must be walking circles in that dressing room and having fits. What has he got to tell his players to get back into this thing and possibly stretch this series?
I don't know if you can tell them a whole lot, Bob. I personally feel that I think inexperience cost them in the second period. It showed in their own zone, and we've already had it mentioned. As you look at the summary of the second period scoring,
Nystrom, of course, is 6. Butch Goring then took over with a 6th and 7th. The Islanders managed to outshoot Minnesota by a shot.
But it's been mentioned 3 or 4 times. The Islanders just stayed with it and did their thing, and it cost the North Stars in that inexperience.
Well, the series will resume Tuesday, May the 19th. The game number 4, Islanders in Minnesota. That'll be at 8:30 Eastern time. But you have to, for the North Stars, forget about that period. It's brand new. Start of the third period. Just go out there and give it the best effort you got. You can't ask for any more than that. And they've got 25 seconds left on this power play.
And again, a big welcome to viewers coast to coast in Canada, on the USA Network, and in Mexico, watching this third game of the Stanley Cup Final from Bloomington, Minnesota. It's 4-3 as we get ready for the third period. The New York Islanders, defending Stanley Cup champions, in the lead. 20 seconds left in the penalty to McEwen. Minnesota trying to get it going on this power play. Up over the line on the wing. That's Payne. Along the boards, back to the blue line. It's knocked out of the zone. And back in, offside. Only 5 seconds left in this man's penalties. Getting up now, that's McEwen.
But you notice the Islanders still continue to challenge at that blue line, even though they're a man short, forcing the North Stars to shoot it in. And they're reluctant to do that. They keep trying to beat that man at the blue line. They can't do it.
If there's a chance for the North Stars to get back into this series, it's got to be right here in this third period. And they're well aware of it. They've got to throw all caution to the wind here and do everything they can to try and pull this one out.
Hotbash shoots it down the ice. This will be icing, though, as the penalty is over. Giles is back. You two people played with big coaches. Mickey with Cole Blake, Al McNeil in Montreal, you, Gary, with Philadelphia, and Fred Sherrill. What would Cole Blake say first going into a period like this when you're down a goal, and then you, Gary, on Fred Sherrill?
Well, I'm sure he'd be saying, get the legs going like you did in the first period. Again, Minnesota played their best period of the series in the first. They were skating, jumping on top of the Islanders. They didn't do that in the second period.
That was Cole Blake, and now Freddie Sherrill.
Well, other than preparation, which you need, it's let's have the second effort. It's there. If you want it bad enough, you'll get it.
Well, they're into the first minute of this third period, and the Islanders come rolling again to center. Merrick takes the shot and played it in on the board. That's Roberts trying to move it out. Nystrom dangerously close. Tried to jam it in on the short side, but Malash is up to him and made that move with a skate. Back on the wing comes Kristoff for Minnesota, going in with Young. Kristoff hit the side of the net. He has it again. Kristoff in the corner on the other side. Still has it. Here's Young. He scored! Beautiful play. Steve Payne tipping it home, and it's tied at 4.
You're going to see on the replay how Tim Young is hollering and screaming for that puck. He's got his stick in the air. Give it to me. All right. You've got it, Tim. What are you going to do with it? Watch this thread of the needle pass right to Steve Payne.
Gary, Tim Young, before, maybe wound up and took the big slap shot. We talked about the play he missed in the second period. A good look he takes here, fakes the shot, and just slides a perfect little pass in front of the net. And it's a 4-4 hockey game.
1:11, the time of that goal here in the third period. And it's a brand new one again. Do not leave us. We've got excitement here in the Met Center in Bloomington.
I thought Glenn Sonmore made an interesting comment. He said,
It's up to the 4 other guys to get themselves in the clear for the puck carrier. You have to help the puck carrier out. Tim Young certainly did that.
Well, you know, we talked about the skating, get the legs going, and Steve Kristoff made that play possible. He fired up the right wing, kept the legs moving in behind the net, and made the perfect play over to Young.
Hit the side of the net, got his own rebound, and stayed with it around the net to the other side. That's right, Mickey. Now Lane in his own zone for New York. Played it up along the boards. It's still inside the line. Kristoff set it up in front. Another chance for Minnesota. And that stopped and cleared out the center ice. Barrett played it up for Palmer again. Too far. Lorimer back. Icing called against the Minnesota North Stars. Here's the scoring play. Steve Payne is 16th from Tim Young and Kristoff at 111. Tied at 4.
Well, I guess the youngster's dream would be playing in the Stanley Cup, but who would have ever figured it would happen to a 19-year-old? And look at the production of Palmer. Could be playing junior hockey this year. Could have finished the season with Victoria in the Memorial Cup, and here he is playing in the Stanley Cup. What a thrill.
Cicerelli in back of the net in the corner to Smith. Bumped by Gilly. He couldn't move. Now that's Hartford. Lost it. They score. Bossy intercepting a pass. Another big break for New York. An error inside that line. And who hit it? Bossy.
It seems that as soon as somebody ties Bossy for the goals, suddenly he comes back. But Hartford just skated away from Trottier there in that loose puck. And boy, you can't do that. And you saw what happened when Bossy gets a hold of that puck.
That's what cost him. You see the pass coming out to Bossy there. Malash, no chance against the shot from Bossy. But Hartford did. He tried to grab the puck and go the other direction at the same time. And against Trottier, impossible to do. They're going to burn you on that.
Bossy from Trottier. And it's at 2:05. So it's again New York leading Minnesota 5-4 this time. Minnesota coming in again. McCarthy. He's all alone over there. A break down the wing. This is Bossy. Watch this one, folks. Bossy. Great save by Malash. Gillies tried a backhander. Great save by Malash on Bossy. And he was in all alone. Not many goaltenders can stop that shooter when he gets set like that. But Malash did. That could give Minnesota some life. Bobby Smith coming in now. Bobby Smith got away from Gillies. But the Islanders clear it out. Bossy knocked it out to center ice. Now the Islanders are changing as the play goes on. There's Billy Smith underneath that one to grab it. Minnesota trying to fight back. They're trailing by a goal now with 16:50 left in the third period. Coolidge tipped the pass up near the New York line. McEwen, he played it down to Carroll, who shoots it in for New York. Roberts back of the net for the North Stars. He was tied up. That's Sutter centering it. Cleared to the line, knocked down by Morrow. A shot tipped near the net. But here's Coolidge coming out with Anderson in young hands. Coolidge up over the line, chopped it into the corner. Carroll going back, feeds it over on the boards on this side. Greg Smith slapped it in. Hot man around the net for New York. A neat play, sends them down to center, and this is Sutter going in. Sutter still with it. Spun around as he slides to the board. Back of the net. Minnesota offended. And a penalty coming up against Tonelli of New York. The net is empty again. They have the 6th man on. Malash on the bench now. And here's Tim Young going in. Center it. It was hit by a stick. Roberts keeping it in. Roberts played it back of the net, and now the Islanders come up with it. And the penalty is coming from Bloomington, Minnesota. This is Stanley Cup 81. Well, fellas, we've got another power play opportunity. There's Tonelli in the penalty box.
Well, it happened in the offensive zone. North Stars will grab a hold of it, and there you see the trip by Tonelli. So the Islanders keep giving the North Stars opportunities to get back in this hockey game.
It's 5-4. New York leading. Minnesota trying to fight back to tie it again now. Pass goes in by Hartford in front of the net. And Payne fanned on that attempt. Knocked down at the line, but it comes out to center ice. Trottier tried to pick it up. It was called a stick high, made contact. It comes into the Minnesota zone.
Well, again, it's very important for the North Stars to begin their rush, have three forwards going together, defense close behind, get set up in the Islander zone, and then, again, we talk about this so often, Mickey, the guy without the puck, his ability to get himself in the clear.
Well, Sonmore this morning said, you know, dumping the puck in doesn't do any good at all unless you've got three guys abreast going, and as soon as we get over center, throw it in and get the wingers moving so they can go in and forecheck and create havoc for the Islander defensemen.
Minute and 35 seconds left in the penalty to Tonelli of the New York Islanders. Islanders lead it here in the third period, 5-4. Minnesota on this power play. Disorganized at this point, but here they come. McAdams cleared it along the boards into the corner. Smith went in. He was taken out of the play. Knocked off his stick down the ice, and Bourne is racing for it. He'll kill a few seconds in the center ice area. Now he's tied up. He falls. And the play is stopped with a face-off of the center ice area.
And the Islanders again doing a good job of tying up the North Stars, just what we were talking about, at the blue line. They're not getting going and dumping it in and allowing the wingers to get in there. They're just not hustling, and they're giving the Islanders a chance to dump the puck back out of the zone.
Well, there you see, 16 straight games for Trottier, and over the past 2 years, Trottier has now scored a point in 23 straight games over a 2-year period. Fantastic.
Coming back, that's Potvin. He lost a bad play. Kristoff circles. Holds his cool. Gets it to Giles. His low shot, Kristoff! And that's blocked by Billy Smith. He had to cover up in a hurry.
You know, that's the second time tonight we've seen Potvin throw the puck away very dangerously in his own zone. It's very uncharacteristic of Dennis Potvin to make a bad pass like that.
Well, you heard Glenn Sonmore down there. He said, come on, they'll cough it up. Just get on them. And that was an example of it. And then Giles, watch this shot. But again, nobody in front of the net. And the crazy bounce off the boards where Kristoff had a good whack at it, but Billy Smith really covered up.
See Broughton right in front of the net, and he was open. Kristoff didn't see him. Cleared by Smith now. Goring circles back there. Feeds it on the boards. A good play for Trottier. Dumped at center ice by Giles. 40 seconds left in the New York penalty to Tonelli. It's 5-4. New York Islanders on top by that goal. And again, Giles tapped one down at center. Here he comes. Got away from Morrow coming in. He'll go in the corner, play it off the boards back of the net, and it's shut down the ice by Potvin. 17 seconds left in the penalty. So far, Minnesota, they've come close, but not close enough. 5-4, New York up to center. Last rush down the power play. Smith and Coolidge went in, took the shot and just wide. Cicerelli went after it. Coolidge in the corner again. Penalty is over as Potvin brings it out. Potvin racing this attack to center. Down on the wing, Tonelli. He was bumped, but Potvin is in. Carroll in front of the net. Right into the Goring. Another play. Goring scores. Goring getting another goal.
That's the hat trick for Butch Goring.
And that might be it for the Minnesota North Stars.
And that has certainly quieted this crowd here in Minnesota. A hush has come over. But oh boy.
Goring took the original shot. Malach got a piece of it. The rebound came right off the backboards and out to Goring again. He snapped it past Joe Malach.
Now Roberts went right through his skates by the time he was able to recover. In fact, he never did recover. Goring, as soon as the puck was on his stick, it's in the net. And again, the ability of the Islanders to capitalize when the opportunities are there. It has been evident in all three games.
You know, fellas, I don't know where he gets his legs. He was out killing that penalty and all over the ice. Stayed on, and bango, it paid off.
Looked like Billy Carroll dumped the puck out from behind the net.
The goal 6:34. Goring from Tonelli and Potvin at 6:34.
Goring his 8th from Tonelli and Potvin at 6:34. That makes it 6-4, New York. Islanders are coming again. Langevin shooting it in. In 3 games now in the Stanley Cup final, the Islanders have scored 6 times in each game. leading this one 6-4, winning the first two by 6-3 scores. Long shot by Langevin, blocked in front of the net. And Payne went after it for Minnesota. Coming out, a long pass near center. McAdam couldn't pick it up. It's outside the New York blue line. Merrick again. Pass behind Sutter. Greg Smith knocked it on the board. Sutter trying to keep it in. He does, rolling it along in the corner. Tim Young coming back. Out in front of his own net. He left it there. Now Payne starting away with Kristoff coming on the board. Kristoff got as far as center, and then Trottier stole it. Back in with Bossy. Trottier finds the hole. Trottier to Bossy in front, and covering up was Gilles Milano. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Bloomington, Minnesota. There's the shot from outside this Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, and a shot inside. John D'Amico, veteran linesman, over 1,400 games he has officiated in the National Hockey League. A lot of work. Now it's Minnesota, down 2 goals, trying to get it going. It comes in front of the net, cleared off the boards, and Bourne brings it back. Goring up to center. Goring flipped it in across the line. He's got 3 goals tonight for New York. Here's Goring again, fighting for it against Broughton. They keep it inside, back of the net, and went by Bourne. And into the corner, Kristoff for Minnesota. Kristoff, a high lob pass to center. Knocked down by Lane. Now again, Hartsburg up the center for Minnesota. Put the shot at Billy Smith. Tough enough to score on that goaltender from 10 feet. 100 feet is something else. All the way down the ice. Minnesota back, regrouping. 3 of them coming out. Cicerelli had the pass tipped away by Bossy. Bossy still looking for it with Gilly. There's Bossy going after Roberts. He has it. Bossy fighting for it. Gets it over along the line, and Cicerelli cleared it up to center. 11 minutes remaining in the third period. It's 6-4, the New York Islanders. Trottier and Bossy. Bossy to Trottier. Beautiful pass. Trottier working around back to the net. Trying to knock it in front. 2 players taking it on the boards, and sometimes he needs to be outnumbered before he can make a play. It's 6-4 here in Minnesota, and I'm Bob Cole up here with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond, 2 former stars of the National Hockey League. And oh brother, these Islanders have come on strong here in the second and third period.
Very characteristic of the Islanders, and we must mention at this time, Bob, that tomorrow will be the NHL luncheon. There will be some awards presented. Red Berenson, Coach of the Year, Gretzky, Player of the Year, Blake Dunlop winning the Masterton Trophy.
Minnesota, back of the net, down 2 goals. Nearing the halfway mark of the third period. They shoot it to center ice. Dinelli ripped it back in. Of course, I should have mentioned that handsome gentleman to my right, our statistician, Doug Beeford. And we couldn't do this work without you, Doug. Coming out, Minnesota again to Young at center. He flipped it through the middle. Bossy, or rather Tonelli, just got a stick on it, then it was knocked down the ice. Tonelli going in, Fortune. But he's too late this time. And it's called. It'll come back in the New York zone. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Bloomington, Minnesota. Minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the third period.
Well, the trend is going on, especially now late in this hockey game, where the Islanders will continue to have 2 center ice, during the face-off, in case one gets thrown out, then somebody else can move in when they're in their own zone.
6-4 is the score. New York leading the Minnesota North Stars. Potvin trying to bring it out. He will. Up to Nystrom. Back to Merrick. Shot by Merrick. And Milosh knocked it away. Roberts for Minnesota in front of the net by Merrick with a long pass. This will be icing. Barry, you were a defensive player. That was your specialty with Philadelphia Flyers. Mickey, an offensive
style player. Well, in their 16 playoff games, the Islanders have now scored at least 5 goals in all 14 of their victories. What are you going to say about that as a defensive method, Gary?
It would be a very tough job because they have the type of hockey club that are very explosive. They have speed, they have playmaking, they have guys that can put the puck in the net, and it's been very evident, but boy, do they work.
Vicky?
You know what I think's really made it all possible? It's their forechecking and their persistence in taking the man, sending 2 men in. First man takes the body, takes the Minnesota player out of the play, and the second man picks up the puck, and of course that third guy coming in late on the play, and boy, the scoring chances they've had.
Well, when we get a chance, I'm going to tell you what Bossy had mentioned about goal scoring, which was very interesting.
There's the drive by Bourne, and that's off the crossbar and away up high into the crowd. You're on, Gary.
Well, Bossy had said everything before a goal is scored is so very important than the goal itself. It's the moving around, the positional play, the anticipation, the bruises that go along with it. And he says he doesn't really pick a spot. He knows exactly where the net is at all times. He doesn't even have to look at the net when he shoots. But sometimes you wonder if he doesn't take a look.
Galler battling for it on the boards for New York, but he can't come up with it. And here we go with Palmer. Long shot by the bullet-shooting Palmer. In wide of the net. Bourne trying to move it out. Goring chasing it down the ice. He's got 3 goals for the New York Islanders tonight. Goring is number 91. In the royal blue jersey with a red and white trim, Butch Goring all over the place. There he is again. Goring tipped it up to center. Keller couldn't play it. The Islanders lose a chance to clear. Bobby Smith, the backhand shot off Billy Smith into the crowd. With a score, New York Islanders 6, Minnesota 4. This is Stanley Cup 81. .9:04 remaining in the third period. Bob Cole here with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond. With Minnesota trying to battle back. Smith centered one. Got it back near the line. It goes down inside the Minnesota blue line, and that's Giles back. He's on the defense for the North Stars from Hartsburg. He stands to his left now as Giles brings it out. The pass hitting Cicerelli at center. Cicerelli going in. That high shot off the glass. It bounces down near the blue line. Cicerelli back of the net with Bobby Smith. He is tied up, and wait a minute. I think somebody with that last effort down there broke one of the sheets of glass, plexiglass, into the corner. So we'll have a moment or so as they repair that.
It's a great way for Bruce Hood to make contact with the crowd. Why not?
Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment. I'll tell you, I mentioned the glass down there being replaced. Plexiglass, not likely, the way they shoot the puck around there. Herculite, of course. Even, I think I could break plexiglass, Gary. Mickey, you think? Herculite?
You could break her about
6-4. Minnesota trailing the New York Islanders, defending Stanley Cup champions. They're in across the line, but broken up. Roberts comes to center, going in with McAdam, sliding it to the side. A quick shot didn't get through, and Merrick turns for New York. Tonelli brings it over the line into Nystrom. Nystrom tried to knock it through. Malach was out of the net a few feet. Here's Tonelli again. He's trying to go the other way, gets it back to the line. Morrow winding up, shooting, and that's knocked down. 2 North Stars break out, coming to center. That's Payne turning around. He couldn't shoot it by Potvin. Potvin tied him up. Merrick looking for it for Tonelli, number 27. Here he comes. Gets it out across the line with time running out. 7:35 remaining in the third period. The Islanders leading in the series 2-0, and threatening now to get a stranglehold on this final Cup series. Leading 6-4 here with 7:20 remaining.
Well, Bob, it's time that the North Stars really start taking some chances, especially defense. Pinch in at every opportunity.
There's a hard shot that hit the side of the net. It bounced back in front as Palmer let it go. Going back. That's Hartsburg. He was stopped. They lose it in front. Oh! And a good chance right there for Keller just missed. Goring looking for his fourth, maybe. Gets in front. A scramble for it. Meloche went down. Now it's hooked high outside the blue line into the center ice area. Kristoff is bodied away by Bourne. Goring staying with it. He took a jet. Giles knocked into the ice. 6:35 left in the third period. 6-4, the New York Islanders. Coming back is Lane. From the corner, Ciccarelli stole it. Ciccarelli around the net. He scores! Ciccarelli! This place will go wild. They love him here. And he gets his team close.
Well, that was just a great individual effort by Dino Ciccarelli. He was hacked from behind by Merrick. Lormer tried to stick check him, but he comes around the old alley-oop and through the legs. And for Dino Ciccarelli, another goal. What a rookie season he's had in these playoffs. He has just been fantastic.
21 points now. A rookie record.
But 14 goals. Man, oh man. And that's the life. That little bit extra by Ciccarelli has moved the North Stars to within one. They should be able to pick it up right now.
13:35, the time of that goal. Ciccarelli. He's in there again. It bounces down in front of McCarthy. He couldn't shoot it. Now the place is alive here at the Men's Center. And the North Stars are within one of the New York Islanders. 6 minutes remaining in the third period. Langevin's pass goes astray inside the Minnesota line. Bobby Smith coming out. Ciccarelli on the right wing has it. Couldn't control it though. And Langevin lost it to Ciccarelli. Got it back again. Played it into McEwen. On the board, Bobby Smith intercepted. Got rid of it in front. And Langevin is away for New York. Played a long shot in. Right on Meloche. He stopped it for Greg Smith. 5:25 left in the third period. Here's Bobby Smith taking a shot. Billy Smith, the goaltender for New York Islanders, made the save. Now it's stopped up the line. Kept in front. Here's a chance. Right back to the blue line. That shot comes. Hartsburg gonna go. Scramble in front. And Payne was covered. Now great heat turned on by Minnesota. But Tonelli gets away. One man is back. He's in on Giles. Circling. Shooting it into the corner. 4:55 left in the third period. It's 6-5 New York. Giles knocks it down. It's McAdam coming in. Drops it back. Tim Young breaking for the corner. Tried to set it up. It comes back to center ice. Greg Smith through Hartsburg. Turning. Twisting. He pushed it over the line. And it's called gloved ahead on the pass. Live from Minnesota, this is Stanley Cup playoffs.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Play just underway. 6-5 is the score, and Keller is in for the Islanders. Islanders leading Minnesota. A feverish third period. Winding down. 4:15 remaining in regulation time. Up to center ice. Palmer drops it back. Roberts tried to backhand it in. Palmer shooting a long one. Billy Smith, the stick save. Bourne couldn't move it out. Broughton kept it in, left it there. Kristoff is upended. Fans holler for a penalty. It's cleared down the ice by the New York Islanders. Comes right in through the crease. Icing called against New York.
As we look at Freddie Barrett, we remind you that Ciccarelli has broken the NHL record with 21 points. That was shared with Don Maloney, and with that goal, that gives Ciccarelli 21 points. And they'll sell a lot more dinosaurs after that goal.
Well, this game is not over yet. 3:49 remaining. That's for sure. 6-5. New York Islanders up by a goal. It's been a seesaw battle all night.
Well, again, have to take the chances at every opportunity. Defensemen pinch in. Of course, you always become vulnerable when that happens, but you got to give credit to the North Stars. They keep battling. They keep battling back. They die hard.
This could be a last gasp for them here. They can't afford to go down 3-0, and 3:49 left in the period. They'll be throwing it all to the wind here.
Cicerelli knocked off the puck. Islanders McEwen cleared it to Bossy. Front center, his shot on the net. Scrubbed it, threw it back to the goal. Trottier goes in. It went by him. Cicerelli is back there. Here he is. The long pass on the left side. McCarthy coming down with Polish. In over the line. McCarthy centering it. It comes in front of Cicerelli, and he was covered. Back out for Langevin. His long pass down on the wing. It comes to Trottier. Bossy near the line. Backhands it high on the glass. Greg Smith for Minnesota with 3:10 remaining in the third period. And Langevin is coming back. 6-5 is the score. And the Islanders are leading in this one here in Bloomington. McEwen coming in for Tonelli and went off his leg back of the net. Greg Smith went after it. Smith starts to play for Minnesota. Down on the left side, that's Steve Payne breaking in. Coming in is Smith. Oh, saved by Billy Smith. Right back to Greg Smith. He couldn't control it. 3 Islanders break out of the zone. Nystrom to Tonelli. Coming in on the play is Merrick. Tonelli centered it. And the North Stars swing away a game. One action now. 2.5 minutes left in the third period. Bobby Smith back to Roberts. Broken up. Another break down the right side for Potvin. Nystrom with him. He dropped it to Tonelli. Oh, deflected away from the net. Merrick didn't see it. Now Broughton coming out with 2:10 left in the third period. Minnesota desperately trying to get a goal to send this thing into overtime. 6-5 the score. The New York Islanders on top. Minnesota fighting back now with every heart they have. It's in back of the net, and that's Goring. He's got 3 goals tonight for New York, and a great checker, and he cleared it down the ice. Nystrom went into the board. Now Minnesota lobbing it out. Here's Kristoff coming in with Broughton. 1:35 left. This is Kristoff inside the line. Circles, lost it. Another break for Goring. Here he comes. Goring going in, and Greg Smith took him out of the play.
Well, it's time for the North Stars really now is to send 2 men wherever that puck is. They have to come up with it.
Here's a pass in front of the net. Kristoff couldn't get his stick on it. 1:15 left. Broughton had it go by him. It's still inside the line. Palmer's shot. That's stopped by Billy Smith. Keller now trying to knock it out. He cannot do it. Hartsburg in front of the net. Another shot by Broughton is just wide. Another scramble. Another shot. Billy Smith is down. And the place going wild with 59 seconds remaining. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Bloomington, Minnesota. 59 seconds remaining, gentlemen. I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond, and now Glenn Sonmore. The Minnesota coach has called his 30-second timeout.
Well, I think, again, it's important that if the puck goes in the corner, there's 1 Islander going in to get it. Minnesota has to send 2 in. You can't rely on a one-on-one situation now. They have to come up with that puck. But Billy Smith just made a fantastic save here to keep this game tied. It'll come out to Palmer out at the point, and he'll let the shot go. This is a turnaround here by Broughton. But just prior to that, Palmer really let the slap shot go, a pad save.
You know, we're looking at face-offs in the first intermission, and what a face-off we've got here. The North Stars, of course, with Malash out of the net, 6 attackers to the Islanders' 5 skaters. Be interesting to see. They are, looks like, going to line up McAdam on the boards. 2 North Stars, Cicerelli and Payne in front of the net. Smith to take the draw, and Tim Young and Hartsburg back on the point.
Okay, what a finish we have coming up now. Or is it a finish? Maybe there'll be overtime. Stay with us. We'll know in a moment. 59 seconds remaining in regulation time. The Minnesota net is empty. They have 6 attackers on. Minnesota desperately trying to get a goal to tie it. They keep it inside the line. Smith centered it. It was deflected, just missed the near side. That was Payne staying with it near the line. Islanders have a 2-on-1. And guess who? Bossy and Trottier. It's all over now. Bossy to Trottier. Empty net goal. It's a 2-goal spread with 44 seconds remaining.
Happiness is scoring an empty net goal. A 2-goal cushion now, but a very unselfish play by Mike Bossy. Sets up his teammate and center iceman, Brian Trottier. And boy, does that relieve the pressure.
Well, Hartsburg just couldn't keep it in at the other zone. He had 3 Islanders on top of him at the point, which is kind of unusual, Gary. When you're trying to defend, you wouldn't expect 2 or 3 of them to be in one spot as you see Trottier dump it into the open net. But Hartsburg stopped the puck originally, tried to bang it down the boards, got it by Trottier to begin with, but Bossy was right back in the play up to break away on the 2 on.
But on the face-off again.
Islanders win the draw.
Win the draw. Potvin gets it, and that's all she wrote.
Well, the scoring play, Trottier from Mike Bossy and Merrick at 19-16. It's 7-5. And you said that's all she wrote. You got it.
For tonight. But you know, when you look at the Islanders Hockey Club, you usually expect maybe 2 or 3 guys to have an off night. In the 3 games that we have seen, I haven't seen one guy have an off night, and that has really been the key to the Islanders. They all have come to play.
Well, Minnesota gave it one heck of a shot in the last 2 minutes. What pressure they exerted on the New York Islanders inside that blue line. But they could not break through for the tying goal. Empty net goal. Trottier and Bossy, and there's another long shot by Gillies. That was wide. It's silence here now. Another shot. Well, I stopped that. 12 seconds left in this hockey game. 7-5 is the score. Minnesota, a long drive all the way down the ice to stop it. It's 3 seconds left, and now it's all over. And the New York Islanders have taken, I would think, an insurmountable lead in this series with their 7-5 win tonight. Gary and Mickey, they lead the series 3 games to 0.
Well, they certainly have, and there's a very disappointed coach, Glenn Sonmore. They were there. They had the lead, a 2-goal lead, but the Islanders kept pecking away. And, you know, Butch Goring, I guess, really sums it up regarding a possible 4-game sweep. His comment was, why should we play any more games than we have to?
Well, Sonmore and Minnesota have no reason to put their heads down. They played a whale of a hockey game.
Excellent.
And they should be credited with quite an effort.
Thank you, gentlemen. This is Stanley Cup 81 from Bloomington, Minnesota.
You've got the time.
The New York Islanders now 1 win away from their 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup as they outscore the Minnesota North Stars 7-5 in tonight's 3rd game. And of course, the record books will show that only 2 teams have ever come back from 3-0 deficits in any sort of Stanley Cup series or playoff series for that matter. So the Islanders are really in the driver's seat. And what they have done best, they do everything well in this series, is score goals. They now have 19 goals in 3 games. The North Stars were not a high-scoring team in regular season play. They have scored better in the playoffs. But when the Islanders are scoring 6 goals per game and 1 into an empty net tonight, the North Stars did not have the firepower and don't appear to possess it now to be able to beat the Islanders at that rate. And Minnesota seems to have waited too long now to upgrade the level of defensive play, if indeed that's possible at all. The Islanders' first star tonight, Butch Goring, 3 goals. He is a leading candidate for the Conn Smythe Trophy, and so is Mike Bossy, who scored twice tonight, had 2 assists, has a Stanley Cup playoff record with a total of 33 points in all series. And the 3rd star, Dino Ciccarelli of the North Stars, who has set a rookie record for points in Stanley Cup playoff action. His goal gave the North Stars a chance late in the game, but the empty netter by Brian Trottier ended all hope for Minnesota. The New York Islanders win it again, 7-5. We'll return with Stanley Cup 81 in just a moment. They were the class of the league over 80 regular season games, and the New York Islanders are proving it again every step of the way in these playoffs. They've lost only 2 playoff games so far. Those came in the quarterfinal series against the Edmonton Oilers. They swept the first-round series against Toronto. They did the same to the Rangers in the semifinals, and they're 1 win away from doing it against the Minnesota North Stars in the final. A potential clincher for the New York Islanders comes on Tuesday night here at the Met Center in Bloomington, and the starting time will be the same, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final with the Islanders up 3-0. This is Dave Hodge bidding you good night for Hockey Night in Canada. CBC Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, brewers of Molson Export. It keeps on tasting great. Canadian General Electric, progress for people since 1882. Canadian Tire Dealers with 326 stores to serve you across Canada. And by the Ford Motor Company of Canada, on behalf of your Ford and Mercury dealers from coast to coast. This program is protected by copyright and is intended solely for the entertainment and enjoyment of the viewing audience. Reproduction by any means, in whole or in part, without the express written permission of Hockey Night in Canada, is prohibited.
This is CBC.
Perfect radio personality and totally joyous musical mixture will knit together all the frayed ends of your day. There's also news, weather, and sports, and the closing stocks, twice. Heading home with Ken Lang for totally perfect afternoons, 4 to 6, on CBC Total Radio.
Tim Horton Donuts has baked up a new surprise for you. Introducing Tim Muffins, a delicious treat in a variety of flavors baked fresh daily. Try your favorite served piping hot. Taste the goodness of dairy butter melting its way into every Tim Muffin we serve. Follow your nose and introduce yourself to Tim Muffins from Tim Horton Donut Shops.
From your friend along the way.
We dug holes in this lawn to make it tough on the Boland's riding mower. Will it scalp the lawn? Watch. A smooth, even cut. Boland's engineering makes the difference between an ordinary lawnmower and a lawn machine. Boland's, the lawn machine.
For the location of the nearest Boland's dealer, consult your local phone directory. Discover the difference of Total Radio 1550 in Windsor.
Tonight, there's more fighting in Lebanon, but peace efforts to resolve the missile crisis continue. A Toronto-bound CP-Air jetliner is forced down in Scotland by a bomb threat. And in Rome, thousands pray as the Pope forgives the man accused of trying to assassinate him.
The National with Peter Mansbridge.
Good evening. There was more bloodshed in Lebanon today. At least 20 people died in clashes throughout the war-torn country. The fighting was heaviest in the capital, Beirut, as Christian and Muslim forces staged a fierce artillery duel. For most of the day, shells rained down on the battered city at the rate of 1 every 3 seconds. There was also fighting northeast of Beirut as Christian soldiers defended their mountain strongholds against attack by Syrian forces.
The proceeding has been a special presentation of ICENET, the Islanders Championship Entertainment Network.